Chapter 5569. Escape? How naive. Do you really think you can escape? The ninth Wraith Lord sneered. Lin Feng retorted. Don't get too cocky. I have my ways to deal with you. Lin Feng took out Panga's axe. Aside from the epic war spear, Panga's axe was the only ancient weapon that he could use easily. As for the other ancient weapons, Lin Feng found it difficult to unleash their full power. Lin Feng wielded Panga's axe and swung it at the ninth Wraith Lord. A thick beam of axe light condensed and appeared in front of the ninth Wraith Lord. The ninth Wraith Lord sneered and flicked his finger. The beam of axe light was shattered. Lin Feng took out the epic war spear, and Panga's axe flew out. In midair, Panga's axe expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it was over 100 meters long. Its aura was terrifying, and its might was overwhelming. Such a supreme treasure was naturally shocking. Lin Feng followed closely behind. Panga's axe. Looks like you've inherited Panga's legacy. Take this attack from my Wraith Lord's sword. Facing the incoming Pango axe, the ninth Ghost Lord took out a treasured sword. This treasured sword should be the Wraith Lord's sword that he had mentioned before. The ninth Wraith Lord swung his sword at Panga's axe. Clang! The Wraith Lord's sword and Panga's axe collided fiercely. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound was heard. It was as if the void was almost shattered. At this moment, Lin Feng charged forward with the epic war spear in hand. Lin Feng saw the ninth Wraith Lord's appearance clearly. He was skinny, and he looked like he was in his 30s. His face was pale, and his eyes were sinister. This was the ninth Wraith Lord. Go to hell. Lin Feng didn't hold back, and he stabbed his spear at the ninth Wraith Lord. You're a terrifying figure to be able to kill your way to me, but that's all. Today, I'll let you know how powerful I am. As soon as he finished speaking, a vertical eye appeared on the forehead of the ninth Wraith Lord. The eye of the Wraith Lord. This was an eye that only a Wraith Lord could condense. It was extremely terrifying. The eye of the Wraith Lord shot out billions of beams of death light, blasting toward Lin Feng. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly summoned his ruler's armor and phoenix shield to defend himself. Bang! The opponent's terrifying attack fiercely bombarded Lin Feng's phoenix shield. Lin Feng was blown away by the explosion. Even though he had the phoenix shield and the Dominator's armor to block that terrifying attack, it was still too late. However, Lin Feng still felt extremely uncomfortable. He felt his qi and blood churn, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The ninth Ghost Lord's expression was indifferent as he charged towards Lin Feng. However, at this moment, the ninth Ghost Lord seemed to have sensed something and looked behind him. A withered old woman appeared behind the ninth Wraith Lord. The old woman sent a palm strike at the ninth Ghost Lord. The ninth Ghost Lord hastily reacted and sent a palm strike at the old woman. Bang! The two sides collided fiercely, and the ninth Ghost Lord was sent flying by the old woman. Who are you? The ninth Ghost Lord's expression became extremely solemn. He was a terrifying existence. Even if he attacked hastily, there were very few people who could force him back. However, the old woman had done it. It was truly shocking. Lin Feng and Bai Suxin also looked at the old woman in shock. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Earlier, he had sensed a black shadow flash behind him. However, when he searched carefully, he hadn't found anything. But now, that black shadow was very likely the old woman in front of him. Could it be that the old woman was a cultivator from the Dead Souls Island? When he thought of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Bai Suxin had obviously thought of this possibility as well. She looked at the old woman somewhat excitedly. Could it be one of her ancestors? The old woman's voice was hoarse as she said, "The Netherworld's reach is really long. This is the Yang realm. The Netherworld and the Yang realm should not interfere with each other. This is a rule that has been set since the beginning of this era, right?" The ninth Ghost Lord said, "There is indeed such a rule, and the Netherworld has been abiding by it for many years. However, what time is it now? This is the end of the era. Heaven and earth are crumbling, and the sun and moon are sinking. The heavens and the earth are on the verge of destruction. Heaven and earth are in complete chaos. Who would still abide by those rules?" The ninth Ghost Lord's words made a lot of sense. In an era that was about to be destroyed, everyone was only concerned with preserving their own lives. Naturally, there were fewer and fewer people who followed the rules. One could only imagine how chaotic it would be after a while. Wouldn't the young realm be filled with burning, killing, and looting? When that time came, it would definitely be a mess. If the beings of the netherworld came out again, it would really be a night of 100 ghosts. It would be extremely chaotic. Humph! The old woman snorted coldly and said, I don't want to say anything else to you. Leave, and I won't make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. The ninth Ghost Lord was obviously not someone who could be scared with a few words. After all, the ninth Ghost Lord was really too terrifying. The ninth Ghost Lord said coldly, It just so happens that I want to experience your techniques. As soon as he finished speaking, the ninth Ghost Lord raised his Ghost Lord sword and attacked the old woman. The old woman stretched out her hand and made a grabbing motion. The comb that Bai Suxin had put away immediately flew out. Seeing the comb fly toward the old woman, Bai Suxin became even more excited. That comb was a keepsake left behind by her ancestor. Now that it was flying toward the old woman, it meant that the old woman was very likely the owner of the comb. This also proved the old woman's identity. At that moment, the comb magic treasure flew in front of the old woman and quickly grew bigger. Under the old woman's control, the comb magic treasure quickly flew toward the ninth Ghost Lord. Clang! The old woman's comb magic treasure collided with the ninth Ghost Lord's Ghost Lord sword. Both sides were evenly matched. However, at that moment, a large amount of death energy surged out from the Isle of Dead Souls and was all devoured by the old woman. After receiving the support of the death energy, the old woman's battle prowess suddenly increased greatly. When she activated the comb magic treasure again, the old woman's battle prowess suddenly increased greatly. When she used the comb magic treasure again, its power also increased greatly. The comb magic treasure collided with the ninth Ghost Lord's Ghost Lord sword again. The ninth Ghost Lord was sent flying. The old woman quickly rushed forward. Bang, bang, bang. 3 consecutive palm strikes landed on the ninth Ghost Lord's chest. Wah! The ninth Ghost Lord could not help but vomit blood. Someone as strong as him. He was actually injured. He was really mad with hatred. Your life. I want it. The old woman said coldly and quickly rushed toward the ninth Ghost Lord. However, the ninth Ghost Lord did not have the heart to continue fighting. The ninth Ghost Lord did not fight the old woman head-on. Instead, he turned around and fled. Chapter 5570. The ninth Ghost Lord fled. Lin Feng let out a long sigh. That guy was too terrifying. But the old woman had actually forced him to retreat. It was clear how powerful she was. Senior. Bai Suxin looked at the old woman excitedly. The old woman sighed and said, It's fate. We shouldn't have met, and if we did, we would have met a calamity. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat when he heard the old woman's words. Could it be that something bad would happen when the old woman and Bai Suxin met? Bai Suxin's expression changed abruptly. She asked, Senior, what do you mean by that? The old woman did not answer Bai Suxin's question. Instead, she said, It's good that we meet. I'll give you my clan's necromancy scripture. The old woman took out an ancient scripture as she spoke. The ancient scripture flew towards Bai Suxin. It should be the complete necromancy scripture. Bai Suxin accepted the ancient scripture. Lin Feng asked, Senior, can I ask you something? The old woman looked at Lin Feng and said, Ask away. What's so special about this green steel? Why did so many people go crazy over it? Lin Feng asked curiously. The old woman said, Rumor has it that someone once gathered all the steels and comprehended some terrifying supreme divine techniques from them. Afterward, those supreme divine techniques were branded onto the green steel. What? There's such a thing? Lin Feng's face was filled with disbelief. This piece of news was really too shocking. Someone had actually managed to gather all the steels in history. What a terrifying method. Lin Feng asked, The method to immortality couldn't have been recorded there, right? I don't know. Back then, my clan obtained this thing, but unfortunately, we didn't manage to comprehend its contents. The old woman sighed. How prosperous was the Necromancy Islands back then? It had been destroyed because of the green steel. Even now, the old woman still couldn't let go of this matter. Lin Feng thought to himself, you guys can't comprehend it, but I can. If I can really comprehend the method to immortality, that'll be awesome. By then, yours truly would never be able to die. Heaven and earth are destroyed, but I am immortal. Epics perish, but I live forever. The old woman looked at Lin Feng and asked, you want it? Yes, Lin Feng said. He didn't feel awkward at all. He wanted this item anyway. However, this did not belong to Lin Feng. It belonged to Bai Suxin. Or rather, they belonged to their lineage. All right, promise me one thing, and I'll give you this green stone tablet. The old woman said. Bai Suxin was shocked. The Dead Souls Island was destroyed because of this item. Now, the old woman was willing to give it away. She couldn't understand this. However, Bai Suxin didn't say anything else. She knew that the old woman must have her reasons for doing so. What is it? Lin Feng asked. Marry her. The old woman pointed at Bai Suxin and said, what? Lin Feng was dumbfounded. He thought he had misheard. Senior, Bai Suxin looked at the old woman in disbelief. She really couldn't understand why the old woman would make such a request. Cough, cough. Lin Feng coughed dryly and said, well, marriage is something that requires both parties to be willing, right? After all, nothing forcibly done will be sweet. The old woman looked at Bai Suxin and said, child, take off your veil. Bai Suxin didn't dare to disobey the old woman, so she took off her veil, revealing a flawless face that could topple nations. She was truly beautiful and moving. Now, let me ask you, if you marry her, I'll give you the green stone tablet as her dowry. Do you agree? The old woman looked at Lin Feng again and asked, of course, there's no problem with me. Lin Feng laughed dryly. Not only did he get the green stone tablet, but he also got to marry such a beautiful woman. Lin Feng was naturally happy. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Senior, how can you decide my marriage so hastily? Besides, I don't want to get married. Bai Suxin blushed. She was speaking from the bottom of her heart. Bai Suxin really didn't want to get married. She only wanted to silently protect her clansmen. The old woman said, child, come with me. I have something to say to you in private. Bai Suxin nodded. Bai Suxin followed the old woman. Lin Feng waited in place. He couldn't help but mutter to himself. He didn't know what the old woman would say to Bai Suxin, but he felt that it should be about the marriage. Before long, the old woman and Bai Suxin returned. The old woman looked at Lin Feng and said, she has agreed. Lin Feng glanced at Bai Suxin and saw that she was blushing. She looked so beautiful that he couldn't imagine what would happen to her. Lin Feng said, however, it's obvious that there's a price to pay for this. I want to know what the price is. The old woman said, protecting my clan is the same as protecting your own clan. No matter what difficulties you encounter, you must not abandon them. Can you do that? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected the old woman to raise such a condition. However, Lin Feng quickly understood some of the reasoning behind it. The Armageddon War was about to arrive. The old woman's words seemed to be a farewell. In other words, the heavy responsibility of protecting their clan fell on Bai Suxin. But what about Bai Suxin? Could Bai Suxin really protect their clan? The old woman clearly didn't have any confidence in Bai Suxin. Perhaps even Bai Suxin didn't have much confidence in him. Thus, the old woman thought of himself. A powerful existence like the old woman would definitely be able to see how extraordinary his background was. If he tied their clan to him, he would be able to soar into the sky. At that time, if he could soar into the 9 heavens, his clan would be protected, and perhaps they would not be exterminated. Lin Feng said, I agree, senior. All right, I'll be your witness. Now, bow to the heavens and earth. The old woman said. In any case, Lin Feng's face was thick enough. Naturally, there was no problem. Although Bai Suxin agreed to marry Lin Feng, she was still very shy when it came to it. However, Bai Suxin quickly adjusted her emotions. Under the old woman's witness, she bowed to the heaven and earth with Lin Feng. Wife, Lin Feng called out. He was very happy in his heart. He actually had such a beautiful wife. He could even wake up from his sleep with a smile. Hubby. Bai Suxin blushed and bowed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng helped Bai Suxin up. He accidentally touched Bai Suxin's hand and felt that Bai Suxin's skin was as smooth as silk. He could feel it. It was extremely comfortable. I hope you two can love each other, the old woman said. Then, she walked into the distance and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Chapter 55-71. What is the old senior going to do? Lin Feng asked. Bai Suxin secretly shed tears and said, the ancestor said that she doesn't have much time left, so she wants to find a place with beautiful scenery to bury herself. That, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. Was this considered a farewell? Lin Feng felt that the old woman was quite a nice person. He couldn't help but sigh. There were too many things in the world that didn't go as one wished. For example, what happened today made him sigh endlessly. Let's go. Lin Feng looked at Bai Suxin and said, okay. Bai Suxin nodded. However, now that her identity had changed, she was naturally a lot more bashful when she was alone with Lin Feng. Lin Feng could also see that. He said, right, I have something for you. What is it? Bai Suxin asked curiously. Close your eyes. Lin Feng said. Bai Suxin's thoughts were simple, so she didn't think too much about it. When she heard Lin Feng telling her to close her eyes, she closed her eyes. Bai Suxin closed her eyes. At that moment, Bai Suxin felt something on her lips. She opened her eyes, and her beautiful eyes widened. That was her first kiss. It was gone just like that. Bai Suxin didn't know what to do. She then realized that she had been deceived by Lin Feng, and her anger instantly reached its peak. However, before Bai Suxin could flip out, Lin Feng ran into the distance. Don't run. You're lying. You're a bad guy. I'm going to kill you. Bai Suxin screamed. Lin Feng realized that Bai Suxin, who looked as gentle as water, had the potential to be a tigress. Lin Feng said, you're my wife, and we've even bowed to heaven and earth. What's wrong with kissing you? That won't do. I'm not ready yet, Bai Suxin said angrily. She quickly chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng ran while shouting, help! You're trying to murder your husband. The two of them came out of the Isle of the Dead, and Lin Feng summoned the ancient starship Xinyuan. He boarded the ancient starship, and Bai Suxin chased after him. Lin Feng hugged her. You rogue. Let me go. Bai Suxin blushed and struggled, but she couldn't break free. Lin Feng hugged Bai Suxin and fell to the ground. He smiled and said, I'm your husband. How can I be a rogue? Come, let's hug each other like this and look at the sky. Isn't that nice? Lin Feng's body. Bai Suxin was leaning against Lin Feng's chest. Bai Suxin struggled but couldn't break free. She had no choice but to let Lin Feng hug her. However, her pretty face was flushed red. What kind of person are you? Bai Suxin asked. She was very nervous because she wasn't particularly familiar with Lin Feng. If the old woman hadn't said so many things to her, Bai Suxin wouldn't have agreed to it. But since she had agreed, Lin Feng would truly be her lover in the future. Of course, she hoped that Lin Feng was a good person. She hoped that he would be nice to her and her clansmen. Bai Suxin's requirements were very low. However, she didn't know if Lin Feng was capable of doing so. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, these requirements were still too high. Lin Feng said, I'm someone you can trust. Bai Suxin said, I hope so. The ancient starship Xinyuan flew above the sea. 10 days later, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin arrived at a foggy sea and landed on an island. Bai Suxin said, there's a spatial barrier here, and it's very hidden. My clansmen are currently living inside the spatial barrier. Lin Feng asked curiously, how many clansmen do you have? About 2,000, Bai Suxin said. Lin Feng nodded. That's still not a lot, Lin Feng said. Lin Feng followed Bai Suxin into the spatial barrier. The spatial barrier wasn't very big. There were many thatched huts in the distance. The environment was quite good. Big Sister Suxin is back. Big Sister Suxin is back. When they saw Bai Suxin return, some children who were playing around immediately started shouting happily. It seems like you're quite popular, Lin Feng said. Of course, Bai Suxin said proudly. Have you thought about what you're going to say to my grandfather? Bai Suxin asked. On the way, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin chatted a lot. Lin Feng knew that Bai Suxin's parents were dead, and she only had one close relative left. Her grandfather was the current clan leader. Lin Feng said, "Of course, I've thought about it, but you can't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I won't forgive you," Bai Suxin threatened. However, she was too beautiful. Even when she threatened Lin Feng with a fierce look, she didn't look fierce at all. Instead, she looked very cute. Not long later, Lin Feng and Bai Suxin arrived at the village. Many people walked out. The person in the lead was a white-haired old man. He should be Bai Suxin's grandfather. "Suxin, you're finally back. It's good that you're back." The old man had a kind expression on his face. He naturally noticed Lin Feng. Bai Suxin had never brought outsiders here before. The clan also had a rule that forbade outsiders from entering. Logically speaking, Bai Suxin shouldn't have made such a mistake. However, Bai Suxin had brought outsiders here today. There must be a reason behind it. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "Grandfather, Junior Lin Feng has something to say to you in private. Is that all right?" Bai Suxin muttered in his heart. Who is this kid? Why is he calling me grandfather? Why is he so thick-skinned? However, Bai Suxin wasn't an ordinary person. He nodded and said, "Young friend, come with me." Bai Suxin didn't follow Bai Suxin. She knew what Lin Feng wanted to talk to her about, so she was too embarrassed to go. Bai Suxin was actually very shy. She didn't know how Lin Feng would talk to her grandfather about the two of them. An hour later, Bai Suxin saw her grandfather and Lin Feng walking out while talking and laughing. Bai Suxin had an incredulous expression on her face. In her eyes, her grandfather should be an extremely stubborn old man. How could his granddaughter's marriage be a trifling matter? He might even quarrel with Lin Feng. However, the two of them were looking at each other as if they regretted not having met earlier. It was truly inconceivable. Bai Suxin couldn't help but feel puzzled. What kind of bewitching potion did Lin Feng feed her grandfather? Old Master Bai waved at Bai Suxin. He said, "Suxin, come here." Bai Suxin walked over. Bai Suxin said, "Suxin, you and Lil Lin must have had a hard journey. Take Lil Lin to rest." "Yes, grandfather. We'll pay you a visit in the evening," Bai Suxin said with a red face. She then pulled Lin Feng towards her residence. "I've been too busy during the new year. I'm too tired. I'm taking a break today." Chapter 5572. Bai Suxin's residence was a stone house. It looked very simple, but Bai Suxin clearly did not care about it. Bai Suxin looked at Lin Feng and asked, "What did you say to my grandfather? Why is my grandfather treating you so warmly?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I told my grandfather that if he follows me in the future, all the young men in the village will have enough cultivation resources, and they will also have beautiful women as their wives." Bai Suxin burst out laughing. She naturally did not believe Lin Feng's words. If he said such shallow words, wouldn't his grandfather blow his beard and glare at him? "What the hell did you say? Are you trying to hide it from me?" Bai Suxin looked at Lin Feng in annoyance. Her shy and angry expression was so beautiful that it was suffocating. A top-grade beauty was indeed a top-grade beauty. However, this beautiful woman in front of him had inexplicably become his wife. It was a very strange thing. However, it was all real. Lin Feng was in a very good mood. Anyone would be in a good mood if they had such a top-grade beauty as their wife. Lin Feng pulled Bai Suxin into his embrace. "Pervert, what are you doing? Let go of me." Bai Suxin's face turned red, and she began to struggle. However, she was unable to break free. Lin Feng said, "You need to accompany your husband to rest. This is what a wife should do." "Scoundrel, it's broad daylight." Bai Suxin's face turned even redder. Lin Feng smiled and said, "So you're saying that we can do it at night?" Bai Suxin blushed and said, "I didn't say that." However, Lin Feng did not let go of Bai Suxin. Even if he did not do anything, all he wanted to do was to hold this fragrant body in his embrace. It was also a great pleasure. "It's been a tiring journey. Let's rest." Lin Feng smiled and said. He then hugged Bai Suxin and fell asleep. At night, a bonfire party was held in the village. It was very lively. Bai Suxin's clansmen were very simple. Although they cultivated the death spirit scripture, it didn't affect their personalities too much. People were divided into good and evil. Cultivation techniques didn't differentiate between good and evil. These words were very reasonable, but too many people had long forgotten the meaning of these words. After the bonfire party ended, Old Master Bai gathered some of the respected elders in the village to discuss leaving this place. This place could indeed be called a paradise. However, their days were not easy. It was because they were the descendants of the Dead Souls Island. If they were discovered by others, it would be disastrous. Therefore, they were basically living in seclusion. The younger generation of the clan needed a lot of resources to assist in their cultivation. These were all things that the clan could not provide. Although it could provide some resources, it was only a portion of the resources. Those resources were far from enough for a cultivator to advance by leaps and bounds. There was also another matter, and that was to continue the family line. In the past, there would be some disciples who would look for their sweetheart outside in order to avoid marriage between close relatives. This was because the children born from close relatives were very unhealthy. However, not everyone could find their sweetheart. Or even if they found their sweetheart, they couldn't get together in the end due to various reasons. In particular, the identity of the descendants of the Dead Souls Island was too sensitive. Many people didn't dare to come into contact with the outside world. Many of the descendants of the Dead Souls Island died tragically outside after their identities were exposed. Continuing the family line was also a serious problem. And all the problems, Lin Feng could help them solve them perfectly. Therefore, leaving with Lin Feng naturally made them feel happy. Everyone began to pack their things. In fact, there didn't seem to be much to pack. Lin Feng summoned the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship. Then, everyone boarded the ship. Many children looked very excited after boarding the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship. They kept jumping around and chattering about many things like little adults. When it was time to leave, many people still felt a little sad. After all, their ancestors had lived here for many years. Naturally, they had feelings for this place. However, even if they had feelings for it, it was time to leave. They rushed to a new life, to welcome new hope. Half a year later, the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship arrived at Sin City. After returning to Sin City, Lin Feng sent people to arrange things for Bai Suxin and his clansmen. Sin Domain. Everything was developing in an orderly manner. After returning, Lin Feng secretly hung out with Great Demon Yu and Hong Yuer for a while. Some time ago, when he was with Bai Suxin had ignited a lot of fire in him. But there was nothing he could do. Every time at a critical moment, Bai Suxin would resist to death. Lin Feng suppressed all the anger in his body. After hanging out with Lin Feng for a while, Great Demon Yu and Hong Yuer were glowing. Shui Yuexin wanted to see Lin Feng several times, but Lin Feng refused with the excuse that he had something to do. Lin Feng's matter was, of course, his hanging out with Great Demon Yu and Hong Yuer. On this day, someone came to deliver a letter to Lin Feng. Lin Feng asked the guard to bring the messenger over. After asking around, he found out that the messenger was sent by an Zero. This surprised Lin Feng. Lin Feng opened the letter and read it. An Zero said that she had returned to Huang Fuxian's side, and that Huang Fuxian knew about Huang Fu Qingtian's death. After learning about this, Huang Fuxian went into seclusion for 3 days. During those 3 days, she did not see anyone. Then, Huang Fuxian came out. Huang Fuxian left alone, and her whereabouts were unknown. After reading the contents, Lin Feng couldn't help but have some doubts. Huang Fuxian disappeared. This woman was very scary, and she was the reincarnation of the 9th heaven mystical maiden. Where did Huang Fuxian go? Huang Fuxian must have known that he killed Huang Fu Qingtian. Could it be? Did Huang Fuxian come to cause trouble? Huang Fuxian if I'm not mistaken, the woman who snatched Huang Fu Qingtian's corpse after I killed him in my first battle with him was you, right? Although you were wearing a veil at that time, you looked like a celestial being. You must be a peerless beauty. It's fine if you don't come, but if you dare come here, I'll capture you. Then, I'll train you to be my maid. Lin Feng already had Great Demon Yu as his maid, But Lin Feng didn't mind having a few more peerless beauties as his maids. Chapter 55-73. Shui Yuexin sent another message, saying that she wanted to see Lin Feng. Lin Feng already knew that Shui Yuexin had a problem. However, Shui Yuexin still didn't know that she had been exposed. Lin Feng still didn't see Shui Yuexin. Over the next few days, Sin City became more and more lively. First, Suing Ran from Heavenly Tower came to visit Lin Feng. She had an extraordinary status in Heavenly Tower. She and Lin Feng had a bit of an ambiguous relationship. Of course, this wasn't enough to reach the level of a couple. Suing Ran came to tell Lin Feng a piece of news. She said that the Celestial Emperor had colluded with some foreign experts. Lin Feng was shocked when he heard the news. Lin Feng said, previously, the foreign cultivators fought with the Celestial Emperor to the death for the Undying Realm's source energy. It hasn't even been that long, and they're already colluding with each other. How shocking. Suing Ran said, benefits can make people let go of their prejudices and even their hatred. So, what are they trying to do by colluding with each other? Lin Feng asked Suing Ran. They're scheming something big. Suing Ran said. Heavenly Tower was well informed, and Lin Feng believed that Suing Ran knew a lot of important information. For example, Lin Feng looked at Suing Ran. Restoring the might of the Heavenly Court is only the first step. Many powers will either submit or die. Suing Ran said. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. It seems that the Undying Realm is going to be in turmoil. Suing Ran said, young master, you might not know this, but many places are already in turmoil. Oh, did the Heavenly Court make a move? Lin Feng asked. Yes, they did. Many powers have been in their own territories for a long time and were overlords. Naturally, they weren't willing to submit. They were all destroyed, and all the treasures in their vaults were taken away. Suing Ran said. Lin Feng asked, from what you're saying, the people of the Heavenly Court are very interested in some treasures? Suing Ran replied, it's like this. I'm sure you've heard of something. The immortal world is also divided into 33 layers. Lin Feng nodded. He had indeed heard of this matter. However, Lin Feng didn't see the other 32 layers of heavens in the Undying Realm. This was what puzzled him the most. Suing Ran replied, the Heaven Realm's 33 layers of heaven were formed by the Heavenly Tao. The 33 layers of the Undying World were created by the Celestial Emperor, so they're also called the Illusory World. Tian Di hasn't finished his task yet. If he does, he'll be able to transcend, said Lin Feng calmly. What a powerful technique. Lin Feng couldn't help but be greatly shocked. Suing Ran said, yes, the Celestial Emperor's techniques are truly astonishing. He's been madly destroying many large organizations and collecting precious treasures. It seems that he wants to complete the 33 layers of heavens. Lin Feng sighed. If he succeeds, no one will be able to subdue him. The Sin Realm needs to make preparations, Suing Ran reminded him. Yes. Lin Feng nodded gloomily. Lin Feng then wrapped his arm around Suing Ran's waist. What are you doing? Suing Ran hadn't expected Lin Feng to take advantage of her like this. She was both angry and embarrassed. Lin Feng said, you've come from so far away to tell me this. You're telling me such important news. I'm very touched. Of course, I want to repay you. Don't take advantage of me. I'm not that kind of woman. Suing Ran blushed. Actually, when she had first met Lin Feng, she had already had a good impression of him. That was why she had personally come to tell Lin Feng the important news. However, Suing Ran herself was indeed as she had said. She wasn't that kind of person. Lin Feng's actions were somewhat frivolous. I naturally know that you're not that kind of person. I really like you. I want to take the initiative and take you into my arms. As soon as he finished speaking, he kissed Suing Ran's red lips without waiting for her to react. Suing Ran only felt her mind go blank. Her body softened slightly, and she fell into Lin Feng's arms. After a long time, Suing Ran's face was red as she lay in Lin Feng's arms. She said, I took a lot of risks to tell you the news, but I didn't expect to be bullied like this. If I had known earlier, back then, I would have... Suing Ran seemed to want to say something like, I wouldn't have come, but these words went against her heart, so she didn't say it. Lin Feng said, "How am I bullying you? I simply love you too much, okay?" Lin Feng was an old hand in the field of love. All kinds of teasing words of love were naturally at his fingertips. Although Su Yingran was a member of Heavenly Tower, she was exposed to all kinds of news every day and could be considered experienced and knowledgeable. However, no matter how experienced and knowledgeable she had never been teased like this. Moreover, she didn't have any intimate contact with the opposite sex. When she heard Lin Feng's words of love, she felt happy and shy. All kinds of feelings made Su Yingran feel complicated. But in her heart, she was extremely happy. "Darling wife, I want to ask you something," Lin Feng said with a smile. "Ah." Hearing the words, "darling wife," Su Yingran blushed and quickly buried her head in Lin Feng's arms. She simply didn't dare to look at anyone. Lin Feng was secretly happy. He had never thought that Su Yingran was such a shy person. Shyness meant that she had little contact with men. It meant that she was chaste. He had really picked up a treasure. Su Yingran said, "May I know what you want to ask? You're so young, but you're already in charge of Heavenly Tower's tower master position in a main city. Does that mean you have an extraordinary background in Heavenly Tower?" Lin Feng asked. Women were easily suspicious. When she heard Lin Feng's words, Su Yingran's face paled. She said, "Could it be that the reason you're getting close to me is because of the faction behind me?" Lin Feng naturally knew what Su Yingran was thinking. He slapped Su Yingran's breast 3 times. Su Yingran's eyes were filled with tears. "Sir." Su Yingran was extremely embarrassed. Lin Feng said, "What nonsense are you thinking? I was just asking. Besides, since you know so much about me, I should at least know what my father-in-law does, right?" When she heard the words, "father-in-law," Su Yingran's face turned so red that it seemed like blood would drip from it. Su Yingran's voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzzing. "My father is the Vice Tower Master of Heavenly Tower's main branch." Lin Feng was astonished. He had thought that Su Yingran's father being an elder of Heavenly Tower's main branch was already of very high status. He hadn't expected him to be the Vice Tower Master of Heavenly Tower's main branch. This identity greatly exceeded Lin Feng's expectations. Chapter 5574. In fact, Su Yingran was of great help to Lin Feng, because intelligence was very important in any power. Lin Feng let Du Zhu be in charge of the construction and development of Sin Domain's intelligence organization, which was developing quite well. However, compared to when Tianlu, which had been rooted in the Undying Realm for countless years, there was still a big gap. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Lin Feng naturally liked Su Yingran, who was a beautiful woman. When he got her, he could also get help from the power behind her. It was simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lin Feng arranged a place for Su Yingran to stay. At night, Lin Feng wanted to be the groom. Even if he couldn't be the groom every day, he could be the groom every once in a while. However, Su Yingran locked the door. She was probably worried that Lin Feng would do something bad to her at night. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't force Su Yingran. Now, Lin Feng wanted to play the elegant route, making Su Yingran willingly gallop with him. Therefore, he walked back to his residence. After returning to his residence, Lin Feng planned to see what the 7th layer of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace had. Every time the Divine Tao Immortal Palace opened, good things would appear. Lin Feng was naturally looking forward to it. Lin Feng entered the Divine Tao Immortal Palace and opened the restrictions of the 7th layer. Then, he entered the 7th layer. When he entered the 7th layer, Lin Feng found that there was nothing in the 7th layer. This made Lin Feng very puzzled. Damn, what's going on? Logically speaking, the 7th layer should have some good things, right? Why is there nothing this time? Lin Feng was very puzzled. He was also very depressed. At that moment, a voice suddenly resounded in the 7th layer. The voice said, "Congratulations on entering the 7th layer. Here, you will be able to swim freely in the Great Tao." "Wander your ass," Lin Feng said speechlessly. F***CK. Why are you swearing like that? The other party said unhappily. Lin Feng replied, Sorry, I spoke without thinking. I'm actually a very kind person, and I didn't mean any harm." The other party snorted. Lin Feng asked, "What kind of existence are you? Are they the gods here?" The other party replied, "You can understand it that way. What's so special about the 7th level of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace?" Lin Feng asked doubtfully. Hee hee. The other party suddenly smiled. Lin Feng felt that the other party's smile was too wretched. Couldn't he be a little more normal? Why do you have to make yourself look so wretched? I despise you. The 7th level of the Divine Tao Immortal Palace is called the Great Tao Palace. Great Tao Palace? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The name sounded pretty awesome. Lin Feng asked, "What does the Great Tao Immortal Palace do?" "If you cultivate in the Great Tao Immortal Palace, you'll be able to increase your cultivation speed by 10 times. F***CK. Is this for real?" Lin Feng cried out in disbelief. Divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, Das. It wasn't too hard to gain basic mastery, but it was harder to reach minor mastery. The difficulty increased exponentially from minor mastery to major mastery. As for going from major mastery to major mastery, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Going from major mastery to major mastery was like going from a fantasy. In other words, one could dream of such a thing happening. For example, right now, Lin Feng's many top-tier divine abilities were basically stuck at major mastery. If he wanted to break through again, it was just too difficult. If he cultivated here, he would be able to increase the speed of his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Tao by tenfold, which would save him a lot of time. The god of the Great Tao Immortal Palace continued, increasing the cultivation speed of divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das isn't the most amazing thing about the Great Tao Immortal Palace. You should know that the cultivation of divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das is related to many aspects. Of those, the most important is comprehension. Theoretically speaking, when you gain some enlightenment, you'll have a chance to improve your divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das. At that time, 10 times the cultivation speed will save you a lot of time. But the prerequisite is that you gain some enlightenment. If you don't, you won't be able to improve. The Great Tao Palace can also help cultivators gain enlightenment on divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das. Awesome! 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 Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in surprise. He was extremely excited. The Great Tao Immortal Palace was really awesome. It could help him improve his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das. Think about it. Even if he didn't break through his own cultivation level, if he broke through his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das, how many times would his battle power increase? If he broke through his own cultivation level, his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das would all break through at the same time. How many times would his battle power increase? Lin Feng cultivated in the Great Tao Immortal Palace for a few days. Sure enough, he found that his divine abilities, Immortal Sutras, and Das improved much faster in the Great Tao Immortal Palace. After Lin Feng came out of the Great Tao Immortal Palace, he was very satisfied. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, Lin Feng received news that someone was looking for him. Lin Feng went to the living room to see the person. Lin Feng found that it was Sui Han. Sui Han, what brings you here? Lin Feng asked with a smile. When Sui Han saw Lin Feng, she quickly got up and threw herself at Lin Feng. She hugged Lin Feng and burst into tears. Lin Feng was shocked by Sui Han's actions. What was wrong with this shrewish girl today? Lin Feng felt that something must have happened. Lin Feng held Sui Han in his arms. If it was in the past, he would definitely take advantage of her. However, Lin Feng was not in the mood today. Sui Han was crying too hard. After crying for a long time, Lin Feng's clothes were wet. Only then did Sui Han stop crying, but she was still sobbing. Lin Feng asked, "What happened?" Sui Han's expression was indescribably miserable. She said, "The goddess palace was annihilated." What? When Lin Feng heard that, his facial expression suddenly changed. The goddess palace was Sui Han's sect, and it was a famous force in the Undying Realm. It was really shocking that it had been annihilated. The heavenly court did it? Lin Feng asked. Sui Han nodded while crying. What about your senior sister, Muyasi? Lin Feng asked. He had a good relationship with Muyasi, and they could be considered friends. Since the goddess palace was annihilated, Lin Feng was naturally worried about Mu Yasi's safety. That day, senior sister lured Di Wudao away and won us a chance to survive. Since then, there has been no news of her. Sui Han said sadly. Chapter 55-75. After hearing Sui Han's words, Lin Feng's face turned gloomy. Did Mu Yasi suffer a calamity? Lin Feng could not help but think of Mu Yasi's beautiful face. She was so extraordinary and otherworldly. She was like a fairy that descended from the 9 heavens. However, Lin Feng never thought that Mu Yasi would have such a tragic fate one day. It really made those who heard it sad and those who heard it cry. Lin Feng, what should I do now? My senior sister and master are all dead. I'm so sad. Sui Han said while crying. The originally lively and cheerful Sui Han had now become melancholic. It really made people sigh. Some things could change a person's character. Are you the only one here? Lin Feng asked. Sui Han nodded and said, although senior sister lured Di Wudao away, there were still many powerful cultivators chasing after us. In the process of escaping, many senior and junior sisters died tragically. I escaped by myself, but I didn't know where to go. I thought of you, so I came to seek refuge with you. I don't know if I will bring you trouble, but if I will leave now. Sui Han's expression became even more miserable when she said this. Perhaps in her opinion, Lin Feng was her last support. If Lin Feng drove her away, then she really had no way to live. Lin Feng hugged Sui Han in his arms and said, silly girl, what are you thinking? How can I drive you away? You can treat this place as your own home. I will definitely protect you well in the future. I will also kill Di Wudao to avenge your dead fellow disciples and masters. Hearing Lin Feng say this, Sui Han quickly nodded. This little girl seemed to be really tired and sleepy. She directly fell asleep in Lin Feng's arms. Lin Feng carried Sui Han back to the room and then placed her on the bed. Then he left the room. Lin Feng frowned. Even a powerful force like the fairy palace was destroyed. The undying world might soon be completely controlled by the heavenly court. Previously, the undying realm was in a state of separation. That was because the celestial emperor had not broken through. Now that the heavenly emperor had broken through and devoured many of the world origins of the undying realm, plus the heavenly emperor had created the 33 layers of heaven. The current heavenly emperor was too terrifying. Moreover, the heavenly emperor had joined forces with many powerful foreign cultivators. The heavenly emperor already had the strength to regain control of the undying realm. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. However, many forces still wouldn't submit to the Sky Emperor. They were very clear about how ambitious the Sky Emperor was. Once they surrendered, they would only be cannon fodder for the Sky Emperor. Submitting meant death. If he resisted, he might still have a chance of survival. Even if he risked his life. So what? If he took a gamble, he might be able to fight for a bright future. Lin Feng called Du Zhu, and Su Ying ran over. He told Du Zhu and Su Ying ran about the fairy palace. Su Ying ran said, it seems that the heavenly court has sped up. That's right. Lin Feng nodded and said, the final battle with the heavenly emperor might happen soon. Su Ying ran said, perhaps the Sin realm will become the final battlefield. Lin Feng looked at Du Zhu, took out a jade tube, and handed it to Du Zhu. Lin Feng said, there are many forces recorded here. These forces are more or less related to me. Send an envoy to them and tell them not to fight the heavenly court head-on. The gains won't make up for the losses. If they're willing to come to the Sin realm, they're welcome. Du Zhu said, sir, do you want to gather all the major forces and fight the heavenly emperor to the death? That's right. Lin Feng nodded. All right. I'll send an envoy to these forces and tell them your plan. I'm sure they'll know what to do. Du Zhu said, then quickly left. Lin Feng then looked at Su Yingran and said, Yingran, help me investigate Di Wudao's whereabouts. What do you want to do? Su Yingran asked. Lin Feng said, during the final battle, I want to give the heavenly emperor a great gift. Su Yingran naturally guessed Lin Feng's plan. She said, it's too dangerous. Di Wudao is too terrifying. Lin Feng said, don't worry, I'll definitely kill him. If I can't, then there's no need for me to talk about the final battle with the heavenly emperor. All right, Give me 3 days. Suing Ran said. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Suing Ran then left as well. There was an office in the capital of Sin. It wasn't difficult for Suing Ran to gather information. After Suing Ran left, Lin Feng left the living room and walked around the garden alone, thinking about some things. Sir, a surprised voice called out. Lin Feng looked in the direction of the voice. Not too far away, a tall and beautiful woman wearing a pink dress was looking at him. Perhaps it was because of the contrast of the pink dress. It made her look even more alluring. That woman was none other than Shui Yuexin. During this time, Shui Yuexin had been wanting to meet Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng had never met her. Now that he had met her, Lin Feng didn't believe it was a coincidence. Shui Yuexin quickly walked over. When she reached Lin Feng's side, she bowed to Lin Feng. No need for formalities. Lin Feng looked at Shui Yuexin leisurely. Sir, Yuexin missed you so much. Shui Yuexin's face was flushed. She was truly beautiful, especially that shy and coy appearance of hers. It was simply charming to the point of death. Lin Feng had already decided to make a move against Di Wudao. Therefore, he didn't want to continue playing with Shui Yuexin. Of course, Lin Feng knew that Shui Yuexin had no choice. He was probably being controlled by Di Wudao's soul assimilation technique. Lin Feng hoped to use a gentle method to save Shui Yuexin. He couldn't reveal that he already knew that she was being controlled. Otherwise, Di Wudao's trump card might kill Shui Yuexin. Lin Feng said, Yuexin, come, let me hug you. Shui Yuexin blushed slightly but didn't refuse. She snuggled into Lin Feng's embrace. Bang! However, Shui Yuexin had just snuggled into Lin Feng's embrace when Lin Feng knocked her out lightly. Lin Feng carried Shui Yuexin up. After returning to Shui Yuexin's residence, Lin Feng placed Shui Yuexin on the bed. Di Wudao's trump card must have been placed in Shui Yuexin's soul. This way, he could destroy Shui Yuexin anytime. After Lin Feng placed Shui Yuexin on the bed, his powerful spiritual force directly entered Shui Yuexin's mind. You found out. Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. It was Di Wudao's voice. Lin Feng's spiritual force had just entered Shui Yuexin's mind when it was discovered by Di Wudao. Chapter 5576. Di Wudao was indeed powerful. He had instantly discovered Lin Feng's divine sense. This was going to be troublesome. Stall for time. That was Lin Feng's first thought. If he could stall Di Wudao for a while, he might have a chance to save Shui Yuexin. Or else, Shui Yuexin would definitely die. Di Wudao, I really didn't expect you to be reduced to such a state, Lin Feng said. Reduced to such a state? Brat, are you blind? Di Wudao had wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, but after hearing Lin Feng's words, he stopped. His voice also became gloomy. He, Di Wudao, was an extraordinary person. How could Lin Feng say that he was reduced to such a state? Di Wudao, how could he accept such humiliation? Lin Feng said, if you hadn't been reduced to such a state, why would you send a woman to deal with me? You think you can't deal with me, so you sent a woman to deal with me, right? Your schemes are all in my head. You're really stupid. I really despise you. Ha 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 ha. If you appear next to me, I'll crush you as easily as crushing an ant. Di Wudao sneered when he heard Lin Feng's words. Brat, even though you haven't learned your father's methods, you're much more arrogant than him. You're not strong enough, yet you're still so arrogant. You're an idiot. I'm not strong enough, said Lin Feng mockingly. Di Wudao, you think too highly of yourself. If I wanted to kill you now, it would be as easy as killing a dog. Back in the days, you were my father's dog servant. Therefore, according to social status, you are also my dog servant. You're a dog servant who lives off of me and betrays others. When I see you, I'll kill you. You deserve to die 1,000 times. Di Wudao's cold voice suddenly sounded. Anger. Anger. Di Wudao's fury reached the heavens. No one had ever dared to look down on him like this. But now, Lin Feng actually dared to look down on him like this. Di Wudao was an extremely arrogant person. How could he endure being looked down upon by Lin Feng? Little boy, you won't be able to be arrogant for long. Very soon, Sin City will be destroyed, and you'll be cut to pieces. Di Wudao said coldly. Time to wake up from your daydream. Lin Feng said sarcastically. Di Wudao burst out laughing. Compared to your father, you're a far cry from him. Let's not talk about temperament or strength, just your IQ. Your IQ really makes me anxious. Do you know how foolish you are to provoke me now? I'll let you watch the people around you die one by one, but you can't do anything about it. Let's start with this woman. As soon as he finished speaking, Di Wudao wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, but the power of destiny suddenly appeared in Shui Yuexin's mind. It even enveloped Shui Yuexin's soul. The appearance of the power of destiny was too sudden. Suddenly, Di Wudao couldn't react in time. When Di Wudao wanted to destroy Shui Yuexin's soul, he realized that he couldn't do it anymore. The power of destiny had wrapped around the imprint that Di Wudao had left in Shui Yuexin's soul. The imprint flew out. I've been tricked, you despicable bastard. Di Wudao's imprint roared furiously. His eyes looked like they were about to spit fire, and an endless amount of murderous intent filled them. He couldn't wait to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Lin Feng sneered. You have the nerve to call others despicable and shameless? How can your skin be so thick? If we're talking about despicable, shouldn't you be the one despicable and shameless one? Besides, it makes sense to use any method to deal with a scum like you. I'll destroy your imprint first, then I'll kill you when I see you again. Lin Feng flicked his finger. A beam of light landed on Di Wudao's imprint. Bang! Di Wudao's imprint immediately shattered. At that moment, Shui Yuexin slowly woke up. When she saw Lin Feng, Shui Yuexin stood up and threw herself into Lin Feng's arms. She said tearfully, Lin Feng, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I was controlled. I didn't want to hurt you. Lin Feng tapped Shui Yuexin's back and said, It's all right. Have a good rest. Shui Yuexin didn't let go of Lin Feng. Instead, she offered her red lips to him. Lin Feng wasn't a gentleman. How could he not eat her when she delivered herself to his door? In the next few days, Lin Feng was more relaxed. He didn't cultivate. He just enjoyed it. Life was something that should be enjoyed when it was time. That day, the Snow Lady came from the mountain village to the capital of Sin. When he saw her, Lin Feng was very happy. She was as beautiful as ever. She obviously missed Lin Feng very much, even though their relationship hadn't reached its final stage yet. However, they were close friends. At night, on the roof, Lin Feng rested his head on his hands and looked at the stars in the sky. The Snow Lady sat down next to Lin Feng and said, I intend to go to the north, said Lin Feng. Why are you going there? Lin Feng asked. I feel like something is calling me. She said, Okay. Lin Feng nodded. This might be the Snow Lady's opportunity. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't stop her. The next day, the Snow Lady left. On the same day, Su Yinran came and brought Lin Feng news about Di Wudao. Di Wudao was in the immortal celestial domain. The immortal celestial domain was close to the fairy palace. The fairy palace was located at the border between the immortal celestial domain and the fairy palace. Lin Feng planned to go to the immortal celestial domain to kill Di Wudao. On this day, Lin Feng went to the immortal celestial domain alone. Immortal celestial domain. Sun Moon City. Many top geniuses gathered here, such as young Master Mingyu, young Master Xingyu, and young Master Xueyu. Their forces supported Di Wudao to begin with, and now they had become his loyal supporters. Other than these top young masters, there were also many beautiful fairies who attended this gathering. Do you think Mu Yasi is really dead? A female cultivator asked at the gathering. The gathering, which had been quite lively, instantly quieted down. No one had mentioned Mu Yasi's name for a long time. Many of the people present had families and forces behind them that had sided with Di Wudao. However, some of them were friends with Mu Yasi. They were just juniors and couldn't participate in the family matters. However, they hoped that Mu Yasi was fine. Perhaps she should be dead. Young Master Mingyu said. Previously, he had some feelings for Mu Yasi. However, Mu Yasi was very noble and didn't pay attention to him. Young Master Xingyu sneered and said, Lord Di Wudao wants to take Mu Yasi as his concubine, but this woman doesn't know what's good for her. She actually dared to reject Lord Di Wudao. Chapter 5577. Those who had a good relationship with Mu Yasi could not help but sigh. It seemed that Mu Yasi had truly passed away. She was a peerless fairy. Yet, she had died just like that. Their hearts were filled with sorrow. Bang! The door to the private room was kicked open by someone. Everyone looked over and saw a young human cultivator walk in. "Brat, are you courting death?" One of the geniuses said furiously. What kind of status did they have? They were having a gathering here, but someone actually kicked the door of their private room. If this matter were to spread out, they would be in big trouble. All of them would have no face left. They were naturally infuriated. The newcomer's expression was indifferent. He flicked his finger, and a cold light flew out. Pooh! A piercing sound rang out. A bloody hole appeared in the cultivator's head, and he fell to the ground on his back. He was dead. "Brat, who are you? Why did you kill someone the moment you arrived?" "Brat, you've gone too far. Are you courting death by killing someone here?" One cultivator after another stood up. Regardless of whether they were male or female, they all looked at the newcomer with gloomy eyes. "Hee, young Master Shuiyu, young Master Mingyu, and young Master Xingyu, it's a pleasure to meet you." "I didn't expect to meet you here," said the newcomer with a cold smile. Many people were shocked. This newcomer actually knew the three young masters. It seemed that this person's status was extraordinary. "Lin Feng, you've come to the wrong place," said young Master Shuiyu sinisterly. "Lin Feng? He's Lin Baiyin's son? The master of Sin Realm, Lin Feng?" Many people were shocked. Now, who in the undying world did not know of Lin Feng's name? As the saying went, who in the world did not know of a monarch? Lin Feng's name had long since shaken the undying world. Lin Feng found a place and sat down. He looked around the private room and said coldly, "I presume that the factions behind you have already submitted to Di Wu Dao, right? Many of you are famous geniuses, but you've become someone else's slaves. How laughable." Many people's expressions were gloomy. The factions behind them had chosen to submit to Di Wu Dao. It was something they could not change. Some people felt that it was the right choice, while others felt extremely sullen. However, they did not dare to casually refute Lin Feng. Lin Feng was too ferocious. "Lin Feng is... Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Is the Sin Domain's master that amazing?" Now he was mocking Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at him indifferently and said, "Young Master Shuiyu, I've wanted to kill you for a long time, but I never had the chance. Today is a good opportunity." Young Master Shuiyu looked at Lin Feng disdainfully and said, "You think you can kill me? How laughable. Let me take your head and give it to Sir Di Wu Dao. Sir Di Wu Dao will be very happy then." Young Master Shuiyu leaped forward and charged at Lin Feng. He was one of the 8 young masters. Young Master Shuiyu was famous. His cultivation base was very high. Although he was only a young cultivator, his battle prowess could compete with many of the older generation's cultivators. That was why many people looked at Lin Feng indifferently when they saw young Master Shuiyu attack. In their opinion, Lin Feng was dead for sure. Young Master Shuiyu's killing intent surged out of him. He quickly arrived in front of Lin Feng. His killing intent seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth. It directly enveloped Lin Feng. "Die." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he lightly tapped the air. Pooh! A cold light flew out and pierced through young Master Shuiyu's head. Fresh blood immediately spurted out. Young Master Shuiyu did not die immediately. He even saw blood spurt out of his forehead. He reached out to block the wound. However, blood continued to flow out. "Why is it like this? Why is it like this?" Young Master Shuiyu cried out in disbelief. He had always looked down on Lin Feng. He had never placed Lin Feng in his eyes. In his opinion, dealing with Lin Feng was easy. It was as easy as flipping his hand. However, he could not even take a single blow from Lin Feng. He could not accept this. Plop. In the next instant, young Master Shuiyu fell to the ground. He died with his eyes wide open. Dead. Young Master Shuiyu was dead. He was killed without even being able to take a single blow. At this moment, the room was completely silent. Whether it was the geniuses or the fairies, they all looked at Lin Feng as if he was a demon. Lin Feng's reputation. They had heard too much about him. However, They had never imagined that Lin Feng would be so strong and terrifying. Young Master Mingyu, young Master Xingyu. Lin Feng looked at the two of them. Hearing Lin Feng call their names, the two of them hurriedly stood up. They were among the 8 young masters. However, facing Lin Feng, it was like ants facing a dragon. Plop, plop. Young Master Mingyu and young Master Xingyu actually knelt on the ground. Princess Lin, please spare us. The two of them begged for mercy. No one would believe that young Master Mingyu and young Master Xingyu had knelt down and begged for mercy. However, this had happened before everyone's eyes today. They had no choice but to believe it. Where is Di Wudao? Lin Feng asked coldly. This time, Lin Feng had come to the immortal celestial domain to kill Di Wudao. He wanted to kill Di Wudao, but who would have thought that he wouldn't be able to find Di Wudao? Lin Feng was annoyed. However, Lin Feng was not completely without results. Although he did not find Di Wudao's whereabouts, he found out that a group of geniuses and fairies were gathered here. Young Master Xingyu said, "We don't know." Poof! Lin Feng flicked his finger and a beam of light instantly pierced through young Master Xingyu's head. Young Master Xingyu fell to the ground, dead. Young Master Xingyu was also dead. Even the 8 young masters did not have the courage to attack Lin Feng. They were about to be killed in an instant. The remaining geniuses, fairies, and fairies were all trembling in fear. They did not want to die, but they were worried that Lin Feng would kill them as well. Young Master Mingyu quickly kowtowed and begged for mercy, saying, "Lin Gongzi, I really don't know where Di Wudao is, but I know where Mu Yasi is." "Oh? You know where Mu Yasi is? Mu Yasi is still alive?" Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. Chapter 5578. At this moment, in order to survive, how could young Master Mingyu dare to hide anything from Lin Feng? He would definitely tell him everything he knew. Young Master Mingyu said, "Yes, Mu Yasi isn't dead yet. She escaped to the Eternal Demon Cave. That place is really dangerous, and Di Wudao is there too. He chased after her, but in the end, he retreated. I don't know what the situation is now." Pooh. As soon as young Master Mingyu finished speaking, Lin Feng stretched out his hand, and a beam of light instantly pierced through young Master Mingyu's head. Young Master Mingyu fell to the ground. His body twitched violently, and his eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. He originally thought that when he revealed these secrets, Lin Feng would let him live. But Lin Feng didn't do that. Young Master Mingyu was such an amazing person. He wasn't willing to die like this. But, so what if he wasn't willing to die? Lin Feng wasn't the kind of person who would let a tiger return to the mountain. The others were already trembling with fear. They were all silent. Their faces were pale. Lin Feng's methods were really too terrifying. It was simply too despairing. 3 of the 8 outstanding figures had actually all fallen. If this news spread, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. We really had no choice. "Lin Gongzi, please spare our lives." Many people knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. These people were all geniuses of the heavens, goddesses of the heavens. They were high and mighty, looking down on the heavens. They were so powerful and extraordinary that they were praised by countless people. But now, in front of Lin Feng, they were like ants. "The heavenly court will be destroyed. Persuade the higher-ups of your families not to be stubborn. Otherwise, they will definitely be annihilated." Lin Feng said indifferently. If Lin Feng hadn't killed the 3 super geniuses and said this before, everyone would have snorted disdainfully. But now, who would dare to do that? Now, everyone was incomparably convinced by Lin Feng's words. In their hearts, Lin Feng was like a god, a devil, an immortal, and a saint. In their hearts, they were already deeply convinced. Lin Feng didn't stay any longer. He quickly left. Half a month later, Lin Feng arrived at the Eternal Devil Cave. The Eternal Devil Cave was a famous land of death in the immortal heaven domain. The Eternal Demon Cave was located deep within a black mountain range. From afar, one could see that the black mountain range was shrouded in a terrifying aura of death. It was rumored. The Eternal Demon Cave had buried no less than 10 top demonic path powerhouses. After these top demonic path powerhouses died, Their magnetic fields superimposed upon each other, changing the world laws of the Eternal Demon Cave. Thus, the current Eternal Devil Cave was incomparably dangerous. If a cultivator didn't enter the Eternal Demon Cave, then it was fine. If anyone dared to enter the Eternal Demon Cave, they would be able to escape. It was very likely that he would die. Back then, she had lured Di Wudao away in order to win a chance of survival for the other members of the sect. One could imagine the extent of her despair at that time. As soon as he entered the Eternal Demon Cave. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's killing intent was monstrous. Di Wudao. He had to die. In the past, there would definitely be many cultivators here to admire the Eternal Devil Cave's peerless glory. But with the current situation, who would have the mood to do so? As far as the eye could see, there was no one here. Where was Di Wudao? Lin Feng shouted, Di Wudao, come out and die. When Lin Feng's shout rang out, whoosh, 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 more than a dozen figures flew out of the forest. These people had all hidden themselves before this. They only came out when they heard Lin Feng's shout. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that these people were all true immortals. Their auras were deep and terrifying. So many true immortals? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He felt that something was wrong. Could these people have been lying in ambush in order to stop Muyasi? Brat, who are you? How dare you be so disrespectful to young Master Di Wudao? A skinny, middle-aged cultivator said in a sinister tone. You shouldn't be from the Undying Realm, right? Lin Feng didn't answer, but asked instead. It was actually quite easy to determine that these people weren't from the Undying Realm. The Undying Realm lacked peerless experts, and these people in front of him were all very powerful. They definitely weren't from the Undying Realm. The thin cultivator said, You have some foresight. That's right. We're not from the Undying Realm. We're cultivators from the Celestial Realm. Hee. Did Di Wudao's father send you here? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and asked. The group was slightly stunned, and then their expressions darkened. Whether it was the Undying Realm or the Celestial Realm, there were rumors that Di Wudao wasn't the Celestial Emperor's son. That Celestial Emperor had cheated on his disciple. Thus, Di Wudao was born. As for which Celestial Emperor it was, the outside world didn't know, and they didn't dare to guess. That was a Celestial Emperor, and he represented the will of the Heavenly Tao. If they dared to guess the Celestial Emperor's identity, wouldn't they be courting death? However, no matter which Celestial Emperor it was, everyone seemed to believe this rumor. Di Wudao. He was the Celestial Emperor's son. These people naturally knew that Lin Feng was mocking Di Wudao's background and the Celestial Emperor. They had indeed been sent by the Celestial Emperor to assist Di Wudao. Their souls had already been sold to the Celestial Emperor. Therefore, they definitely wouldn't allow anyone to insult the Celestial Emperor. Kill him, the thin cultivator said coldly. The group of experts revealed murderous intent, and they all charged towards Lin Feng. Kill. Lin Feng's voice was cold. He raised his right hand, and a dazzling sword chi shot out. That sword chi seemed to be able to destroy everything. The sound of something being torn apart suddenly rang out. One cultivator after another was killed. Only the thin cultivator was left unkilled by Lin Feng. This was intentional on Lin Feng's part. He still wanted to ask this person some questions. Spare me, young master. Seeing Lin Feng's tyrannical strength, the thin cultivator was almost scared to death. Tell me what I ask you, Lin Feng said indifferently. I will definitely tell you the truth, young master, the thin cultivator hurriedly said. Lin Feng sneered inwardly. Just a moment ago, he still looked incomparably loyal to the Celestial Emperor. In the blink of an eye, his attitude had changed greatly. It was truly laughable. For some people, they were filled with loyalty to their master. They would rather die than submit. But for some other cultivators, what was loyalty? It was just empty talk. For example, this cultivator in front of him was like this. Lin Feng really thought that they were incomparably loyal to the Celestial Emperor. But now, it was truly laughable. Lin Feng looked at the thin cultivator kneeling on the ground and asked coldly, Is Mu Yasi still inside? Chapter 5579. The skinny cultivator hurriedly said, "She's inside. We've been waiting for her to come out on her own, but she never did." "Where's Di Wudao?" Lin Feng asked. "I don't know what he's doing either. Most of the time, he's very secretive. Nobody knows where he is. Even we don't know where he is," said Lin Feng. "If that's the case, then you're no longer of much use. You can die now." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he tapped the skinny cultivator's forehead. Pooh! The skinny cultivator's forehead was pierced, and his corpse fell to the ground. Lin Feng flew towards the mountain range. The mountain range was covered in restrictions. It was extremely terrifying. Many of the restrictions made Lin Feng feel that they were difficult to deal with. However, Lin Feng had the stone scripture's protection. No matter how terrifying the restrictions were, they couldn't hurt Lin Feng. Lin Feng went deeper into the mountain range. Half an hour later, he finally arrived outside the Eternal Cave of Demons. Outside the Eternal Cave of Demons, the atmosphere was gloomy and terrifying. Lin Feng didn't hesitate at all. He directly walked into the depths of the Eternal Cave of Demons. The passage was very long and wide. As he walked, he could hear his footsteps echoing in the passage. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a gloomy and terrifying aura envelop his body. Lin Feng looked ahead. He immediately saw pairs of blood-red eyes staring coldly at him. Lin Feng took out the epic war spear. At this moment, the monsters quickly flew towards Lin Feng. They directly pounced towards Lin Feng. When the monsters got closer, Lin Feng's expression changed. The reason for that was because he saw that those monsters were all bats. However, they weren't ordinary bats. They were stone bats. Could they be from the stone race? Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble. Creatures from the stone clan. What kind of terrifying existences were they? If it really was a creature from the stone clan, then it would be terrifying. Lin Feng did not dare to be careless. He waved his epic war spear and swept it at the stone bats. Clang, clang, clang. Clang, clang, clang. A series of clanging sounds could be heard. The strength of the stone bats was extraordinary. Lin Feng's epic war spear was unable to harm those stone bats. Even though they were sent flying by Lin Feng's epic war spear, they were not injured. It was extremely strange. After those stone bats were sent flying by Lin Feng's epic war spear, they would continue to attack Lin Feng. This was the Eternal Demon Cave. If this continued, it would be extremely disadvantageous for Lin Feng. Therefore, he had to end the battle quickly. However, Lin Feng couldn't think of a solution at the moment. You can use your stone golem clone to deal with the stone bats. The avatar cultivates the stone man's 9 transformations immortal scripture, so it's very effective against stone creatures. At the moment of crisis, the demon lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Okay, Lin Feng nodded. Then, he summoned his stone golem clone. After the stone golem clone was summoned by Lin Feng, it began to move. It immediately activated the stone golem 9 transformations immortal scripture. As the stone golem 9 transformations immortal scripture circulated, a terrifying pressure surged out from the stone golem clone's body. The pressure directly enveloped the group of stone bats. That terrifying pressure directly suppressed the body of the stone bat. After the stone bats felt such pressure, they actually became restless. The stone bats didn't dare to continue attacking Lin Feng, and they quickly flew away. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng let out a long breath. Indeed, there was always something to overcome something else. Lin Feng stored the stone golem clone in the space-time continuum. Then, he continued to walk deeper. After experiencing the battle with the stone bats, Lin Feng was even more careful. As he went deeper into the Eternal Demon Cave, Lin Feng felt a terrifying magnetic field enveloping his body. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he sensed the magnetic field. It seemed that the rumors in the outside world were true. It was very likely that a large number of experts had died in this place, which was why such a terrifying magnetic field was formed. Facing such a powerful magnetic field, Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless. Lin Feng continued to walk deeper. About a quarter of an hour had passed. Lin Feng arrived at the deepest part of the Eternal Demon Cave. The deepest part of the cave was a huge mountain. Inside the mountain, there was an ancient golden bell. Apart from that, there was nothing else. After seeing the ancient bell, Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Could it be that the ancient bell was summoned by Mu Yasi? Thinking of this, Lin Feng walked towards the ancient bell. However, at this time, the ancient bell emitted a violent fluctuation. Lin Feng was pushed back by the strength of the attack. Asked Lin Feng, "Celestial Mu, are you in there?" There was no response from the bell. Lin Feng continued to try to get closer to the ancient bell. To Lin Feng's delight, the ancient bell didn't send him flying this time. Moreover, it didn't attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng lifted the ancient bell. He saw a woman was sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed. That woman was none other than Mu Yasi. Seeing that Mu Yasi was still alive, Lin Feng's face was filled with joy. Previously, he was extremely worried that Mu Yasi had met with a calamity. Fortunately, such a thing didn't happen. However, Lin Feng found that Mu Yasi didn't seem to show any signs of waking up. This made Lin Feng extremely puzzled. "Fairy Mu, wake up," Lin Feng called out. Mu Yasi still didn't show any signs of movement. This place was dangerous. Lin Feng planned to bring Mu Yasi out of here first. Thus, Lin Feng stored Mu Yasi and her magic treasures into his space-time pocket. Then, Lin Feng quickly rushed outside. However, at this time, Lin Feng encountered a calamity. An invisible force ruthlessly bombarded Lin Feng, sending Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng hadn't even stabilized himself yet when the invisible and intangible strength bombarded him again. Bang! Accompanied by a violent collision, Lin Feng was sent flying again. This time, the situation seemed to be more serious than the previous time. Lin Feng's body slammed into the rock wall. Lin Feng only felt his blood and qi churning, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Feng knew that this invisible force definitely couldn't be born from nothingness. Perhaps there was an unknown and terrifying existence in this place. Otherwise, Mu Yasi wouldn't have taken out that magic treasure to protect herself. "Don't you have the courage to show yourself, coward?" Lin Feng coldly said. Kikik. At this time, a sinister sound resounded in the belly of the mountain. That sound was so terrifying that it sounded like a voice from hell. Chapter 5580. It's one thing to trespass into the eternal demon cave, but you actually dare to boast shamelessly here? You're really courting death. A cold voice suddenly rang out. After hearing that voice, Lin Feng's expression became more and more serious. The other party still hadn't shown up. That terrifying existence still hadn't shown up. This was an extremely troublesome matter. Lin Feng said, "Let me guess who you are. You should be trapped in this place. You're not a cultivator from the outside, and you're not even human or living. Are you a Yin spirit left behind by a powerhouse who died?" Thinking about it carefully, that doesn't seem to be the case. The aura of a Yin spirit is a bit strange. If you're a Yin spirit, you shouldn't be able to hide from me. Since you're not a Yin spirit, then what are you? Maybe an evil spirit? Or some other kind of existence? No matter what it is, it's definitely related to the dead cultivators and the magnetic field. After all, the magnetic field here is so strong that it wouldn't be strange if it could give birth to some strange existence. The unknown existence sneered, "Haha, I have to say that you're a meticulous person. Not bad, not bad." Lin Feng asked, "It seems that you don't want to kill me. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to talk nonsense with me." "Boy, it's not impossible for you to live, but you have to promise me one thing." The unknown existence said, "What is it? Tell me." Lin Feng said indifferently, "Whoosh." There was a flash of light, and something appeared in the void. Lin Feng discovered that it was a sealed scroll. Lin Feng took the scroll and tried to open it, but he couldn't do it. "Don't waste your time. This scroll isn't for you to see, so you can't open it." The unknown existence said, "What do you want me to do?" Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and asked, "Give this scroll to the great bright jade complete heaven of the heaven world." The unknown existence said, "The heaven world's 33 layers of heaven. Each layer was different, and each layer had a powerhouse at the level of a skylord. These were the legendary 33 heavens and 33 skylords. The 33 heavens were divided into 4 major heavens. The 4 great heavens were the 6 heavens of the desire realm, the 18 heavens of the color realm, the 4 heavens of the colorless realm, the 4 heavens of the Brahma realm, and the 3 clear heavens. Among them, the 6 heavens of the desire realm included Supreme Emperor Huang, Song Heaven, Supreme Bright Jade Complete Heaven, Qingming Hitong Heaven, Mysterious Embryo Pingyu Heaven, Yuaming Wenju Heaven, and 7 planets Mai Heaven. The 18 heavens of the color realm included the Shu Yueheng Heaven, Tai Chi Veil Heaven, Qiming Hiyang Heaven, Xianming Gonghua Heaven, Yaoming Zongpiao Heaven, Zhu Luo Huangjia Heaven, Xianming Tang Yao Heaven, Guanming Duanjing Heaven, Xianming Gongqing Heaven, Taihuan Extreme Jade Heaven, Yuan Zikong Sheng Heaven, Taiyan Emperor Cliff Heaven, Xianding Extreme Wind Heaven, Shihuang Xiaomeng Heaven, Taihuang Wangchong Heaven, Wu Si River Yu Heaven, Shangli Ruanluk Heaven, and Wu Ji Tan Vow Heaven. The colorless heavens 4 heavens included Haoting Heaven Xiaodu Heaven, Yuan Tong Heaven's Origin Cave Heaven, Hanchong Miaoqing Heaven, and Shtou Lu Forbidden Heaven. The 4 Brahma heavens included the unparalleled Chang Rong Heavens, Yulong Tang Heavens, Dragon Transformation Heavens, and Ping Yu Jia Yi Heavens. The 3 pure heavens included the Great Pure Heavens, the Great Pure Heavens, the Great Pure Heavens, and the Jade Pure Heavens. The Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven that the unknown existence asked Lin Feng to give the scroll to was one of the Sky Lords of 6 Desires Heaven. In fact, the 33 heavens and 33 Sky Lords had been passed down from generation to generation. Now, it had been passed down to the 9th generation. Cultivators in the outside world knew very little about the 33 heavens and 33 Sky Lords. However, there were a few existences that many people had heard of. They were the 3 pure heavens. The 3 pure heavens were the highest-ranked 3rd heavens among the 33 heavens. Lin Feng had cultivated the supreme divine power of One Qi into 3 pure heavens, which was passed down by the 3 pure heavens. Their status was supreme. Besides, Lin Feng also practiced the primitive celestial scriptures. The primeval Lord of Heaven once controlled the Jade Pure Heavens. Among the 3 pure heavens, their status was extremely respected. The 3 pure heavens belonged to the first generation of Sky Lords. However, it was unknown whether the Sky Lords after 9 generations were related to the 3 pure heavens. Lin Feng was someone who opposed the 33 Sky Lords. If he sent the scroll over, who knew what would happen? However, there seemed to be no other choice. Lin Feng asked, "Why do you think I can send the scroll over?" The unknown existence replied, "Intuition. I've always trusted my own intuition." "All right, I can promise you that." Lin Feng said, "You're a smart person, and you've made a smart decision." The unknown existence replied. Lin Feng couldn't help but slander the unknown existence in his heart. "I don't want to agree." However, the situation was critical, and Lin Feng had no choice but to agree even if he didn't want to. Lin Feng asked, "Can I leave now?" "Yes." The unknown existence replied. Lin Feng left the eternal demon cave. Lin Feng let out a long breath. He couldn't help but think, although I promised you, I don't have to go myself. I can find someone else to send the scroll over. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, Lin Feng realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly looked at the scroll and carefully sensed it. Some information was transmitted to Lin Feng. Agreed time. 100 years. Mission. Hand the scroll over to Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven. If the time is up and you haven't completed anything, the person who accepts the mission will die a horrible death. After sensing this information, Lin Feng felt the power of a curse envelop his body. Damn! A curse! Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Then, he became flustered and exasperated. That bastard had schemed so deeply. He had secretly used a curse on Lin Feng. He couldn't even get someone to send the scroll over. He had no choice but to send it over himself. Otherwise, once the curse was activated, it could very well take his little life. The Demon Lord said, "This time, I'm afraid it bodes ill rather than well. After all, if you hand the scroll over to Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven, Great Bright Jade Complete Heaven might try to kill you." Lin Feng smiled bitterly and nodded. He had indeed thought of this. Putting aside the fact that he was an enemy of the 33 heavens, he had already thought of this. Now, There was only the matter of sending the scroll over. Lin Feng could sense that the unknown existence in the eternal demon cave was filled with hatred towards great bright jade complete heaven. The two of them might have a great enmity. If he helped the unknown existence in the eternal demon cave deliver the scroll, the other party would definitely not let him off. However, since he had already formed a curse contract, no matter how dangerous it was, he had to deliver the scroll to great bright jade complete heaven. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm sure there'll be a solution. Lin Feng didn't stay any longer. He quickly flew outside. Chapter 55-81. After coming out of the eternal demon cave, Lin Feng found a secluded cave to hide in. He summoned Mu Yasi out of the space-time continuum. Seeing her pale face, Lin Feng was naturally worried about her. However, Lin Feng discovered that her complexion seemed to be gradually recovering. It was much better than when he had first seen her. Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Now, all he had to do was wait and see if Mu Yasi would wake up on her own. If she couldn't wake up on her own, then he would try to wake her up when the time came. Time passed. The next day, Mu Yasi's long eyelashes suddenly fluttered. At this time, Lin Feng had just finished cultivating. His body had completely recovered. Lin Feng looked at Mu Yasi and saw that her eyes were slightly trembling. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face revealed an incomparably pleasantly surprised expression. About a quarter of an hour later, Mu Yasi finally opened her eyes. When she opened them, she saw a familiar face. Lin Feng, it's you. After seeing Lin Feng, Mu Yasi was extremely happy. She was a smart person, and she knew that she had escaped. In addition, seeing Lin Feng here, she guessed that Lin Feng had saved her. In her heart, she was naturally filled with gratitude towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Are you surprised to see me here? Are you surprised?" Mu Yasi was naturally a little surprised. She said, "I originally thought that I would die without a doubt, but I didn't expect to be rescued by you. How did you know that I was trapped in the eternal demon cave?" "Of course it was because I missed you so much that I tried to find out where you were. That's how I found out you were trapped in the cave of eternal demons, so I went in and rescued you," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile. Mu Yasi had no experience in relationships, after all, so when she heard Lin Feng's blunt words, she could not help but feel her face heat up. Her beautiful face blushed a little. Such a beautiful person's bashful look was really mesmerizing. Although Lin Feng and Mu Yasi had known each other for a long time, they didn't develop a close relationship. On the other hand, Lin Feng and Mu Yasi's junior sister, Sui Han, had a rather ambiguous relationship. Now that Mu Yasi's sect had undergone a huge change and countless people had died tragically, she was still very sad. However, Lin Feng had risked his life to save her, which made her very touched. Therefore, the way she looked at Lin Feng now was different from before. "Young master, do you know how my sect is doing?" asked Mu Yasi. At the mention of this matter, Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He said, "The goddess palace has been destroyed. I'm afraid very few people have escaped." Hearing Lin Feng's words, Mu Yasi's heart was filled with sorrow, and she secretly cried. No matter how peerless she was, people had feelings. Mu Yasi naturally couldn't accept these things. However, this world was too cruel. There were many times, many things. These were things that the people involved couldn't control. Lin Feng knew that Mu Yasi and Sui Han had a very good relationship. Although the two were only senior and junior sisters, they were as close as real sisters. Thus, Lin Feng said, "Sui Han, that little girl's luck is not bad. She successfully escaped and came to Sin Domain. I arranged for her to stay there." After hearing about Sui Han, Mu Yasi's pale face finally regained some color. She asked, "Other than junior sister Su, is there no one else?" Lin Feng said, "Maybe there is. Maybe they broke out from other places." Mu Yasi also knew that this was Lin Feng's words to persuade her. Although she was sad, she kept telling herself to pull herself together. Only by pulling herself together and becoming stronger would she have a chance to take revenge. If not, then she would never have a chance to take revenge. Lin Feng followed Mu Yasi to the ancestral ground of the goddess palace. Originally, This place was filled with immortal energy and auspicious clouds. It was a famous cultivation holy land. Countless people dreamed of joining the goddess palace. But now, in just a short period of time, this place had become a place filled with energy and death energy. It was truly terrifying. Anyone who came here would feel a chill down their spine. After arriving here, Muyasi cried again. Although she told herself that she had to be strong, when she saw that the sect she grew up in was in such a state, and thought of her family, fellow disciples, and teachers who had died tragically here, her heart was filled with grief. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Muyasi squatted on the ruins and cried. Her shoulders were trembling violently. The sadness in her heart was indescribable. At this moment, about 100 cultivators flew over from afar. These cultivators surrounded Lin Feng and Muyasi. Someone smiled coldly and said, "Master Diwu Dao is indeed a genius." He knew that there would be survivors of the goddess palace coming back. Today, 2 of them really came. Lin Feng sneered. So it was Diwu Dao's people. They were a group of people who deserved to die. Lin Feng was about to kill these people when Muyasi said, "Lin Gongzi, leave these people to me." Muyasi needed to vent the hatred in her heart. Otherwise, she felt that she would definitely go crazy. Lin Feng nodded and did not interfere in this matter. Muyasi stood up and charged toward the crowd. This girl is actually so beautiful. Brothers, it's a pity to kill her directly. Why don't we capture her and have some fun? It won't be too late to kill her after we've had enough fun. A cultivator said, "Ha ha ha, that's a good suggestion. We didn't even dare to think about such a top-grade woman in the past." Then, someone else agreed. They were really a group of people who were completely blinded by lust. At this moment, Muyasi rushed into the crowd. These cultivators originally wanted to capture Muyasi, but they soon realized how foolish their thoughts were. Muyasi was like the reincarnation of a female saint. She was really too terrifying. She killed her way into the crowd as if there was no one around her. Many cultivators were killed one after another. Muyasi. She's Muyasi. At this time, someone recognized Muyasi and immediately cried out in horror. Although Muyasi was no match for Diwu Dao, it would be a piece of cake for her to kill all of them. Chapter 5582. Run. Hurry up and run. We'll be dead if we don't. Many cultivators cried out in horror. They were not fools and knew that Muyasi was powerful. It was impossible for them to deal with her with their means. Only death awaited them if they stayed here. The only thing they could do now was to run as far away as possible. Otherwise, they might really die without a burial ground. Alas, how could Muyasi give them the chance to escape? Muyasi immediately froze the void. Then, she took out a sword and walked toward those people with the sword in her hand. She killed the cultivators one after another with her sword. Many people could not help but show a look of despair. They loudly begged for mercy, hoping that Muyasi would spare their lives. However, she did not care about their pleas. Who would pity the fairy palace's cultivators? Who would spare the cultivators of the fairy palace? No one. No one would do that. Before long, over 100 cultivators were killed by Muyasi. Muyasi's expression turned cold as she looked at the dead cultivators. Ever since the fairy palace suffered a great change, Muyasi had completely changed. In the past, she was a peerless fairy who was carefree and carefree. Now, she had too much hatred in her heart. At this moment, a violent fluctuation came from the depths of the palace. Lin Feng and Muyasi were alarmed, and their faces were filled with shock. The two soared into the sky and quickly flew toward the depths of the palace, wanting to see the situation there. It was not very likely. Lin Feng and Muyasi arrived at the depths of the palace and saw a distorted vortex above an abandoned palace. Lin Feng didn't know where that vortex led to. When he saw it, he couldn't help but frown. That vortex gave Lin Feng a dangerous feeling. Muyasi suggested, "Shall we go in and take a look?" Lin Feng nodded. It would be a pity if they did not go in to take a look at such an opportunity. So what if it was dangerous? Even if it was dangerous, it was worth going in to explore. Hence, Lin Feng and Muyasi flew toward the vortex and entered it in an instant. After Lin Feng and Mu Yasi entered the whirlpool, Lin Feng and Mu Yasi entered. The whirlpool quickly disappeared. At the same time, a light flashed before their eyes. Lin Feng and Mu Yasi realized that they had entered a gigantic cave. They walked toward the depths of the cave. There was an altar in the deepest part of the cave. Lin Feng and Mu Yasi were shocked to see a person sitting cross-legged on the altar. The person sitting cross-legged was a middle-aged woman. However, the middle-aged woman's face was ugly. Of course, this was not the most important thing. Most importantly, a middle-aged woman had appeared in such a space. This matter was too strange. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's indeed possible." The two walked toward the middle-aged woman. They kept getting closer to her, but at this moment, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. This was because he sensed something strange. There was a trace of fluctuation coming from the middle-aged woman. Although it was very weak, Lin Feng still sensed it. Mu Yasi seemed to have sensed it as well, and her beautiful eyes widened at once. "Senior, are you still alive?" she asked in surprise.
Yes.
Lin Feng nodded and said, "The situation is unclear, so don't act rashly for the time being. Let's wait and see." Mu Yasi nodded. Then, they began to wait. In fact, they did not wait for long. About half a quarter of an hour later, the middle-aged woman opened her eyes. The middle-aged woman was actually still alive. It seemed that she had cultivated a divine ability like the tortoise breathing technique. That was why she gave people the feeling that she was dead earlier. The middle-aged woman's eyes were very turbid, and Lin Feng could not help but raise his brows slightly when he saw her eyes. The middle-aged woman glanced at Lin Feng before looking at Mu Yasi. She asked, "What's your name? Are you from the fairy palace?" Mu Yasi replied, "This junior is called Mu Yasi, and I'm indeed from the fairy palace. May I know if Senior is an ancestor of the fairy palace?" The middle-aged woman asked. "I can't be considered an ancestor, but I can be considered a member of the fairy palace. How is the fairy palace now?" When the middle-aged woman mentioned the fairy palace's current situation, tears welled up in Mu Yasi's eyes again. She was truly heartbroken. She said, "The fairy palace has been destroyed." "What? The fairy palace has been destroyed? How is that possible?" the middle-aged woman exclaimed in disbelief. Mu Yasi continued to cry. "It's true. The heavenly court has destroyed the fairy palace. D****. 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 The middle-aged woman cursed angrily. Her gaze was extremely gloomy, and her face was ugly to begin with. Now, coupled with her furious gaze, it made her look even more hideous and ugly. "I will definitely destroy the heavenly court and tear them to shreds. I will avenge the fairy palace," the middle-aged woman said hatefully. She then looked at Mu Yasi and asked, "How many members of the fairy palace are still alive?" "This junior isn't particularly sure, but based on the information I received, there shouldn't be many survivors," Mu Yasi said sorrowfully. The middle-aged woman said, "This is an absolutely irreconcilable hatred." She then continued, "Yasi, come here. Let me take a good look at you." Mu Yasi felt a little strange when she heard the middle-aged woman's words. However, she did not think too much about it. She nodded and walked toward the middle-aged woman. At this moment, a cold glint flashed in the depths of the middle-aged woman's eyes. However, she hid it very well, so no one noticed it. "Yasi, wait a moment." Lin Feng's voice rang out. "What's wrong?" "Lin Gongzi." Mu Yasi looked at Lin Feng in puzzlement. She did not know why Lin Feng had called out to her. Lin Feng said, "It's nothing. I just feel that this woman isn't as simple as she seems on the surface. It's better to be on guard against people." Mu Yasi's expression changed slightly when she heard Lin Feng's words. She naturally trusted Lin Feng. Since Lin Feng had said so, he might have discovered something suspicious. Thus, she nodded and stood where she was without taking another step forward. Chapter 55-83. "Brat, what do you mean by that?" The middle-aged woman seemed to have been angered by Lin Feng's words. Her expression was cold as she looked at Lin Feng gloomily. Lin Feng said, "Senior, please don't be angry. I don't mean anything by it. I just feel that sometimes it's better to be careful." said the middle-aged woman coldly. If that's the case, are you suspecting me? Lin Feng said. Suspecting you? Why would I suspect you? Senior, could it be that there's something shameful that's worth my suspicion? What a sharp-tongued brat. No matter how glib your tongue is, you won't be able to change one thing, the middle-aged woman said. Lin Feng asked curiously, what is it? The middle-aged woman said, you're trying to sow discord between me and Yasi. What are you trying to do? Lin Feng could not help but be speechless. He said, you're wrong. I don't need to sow discord between you two because my relationship with Mu Yasi is definitely much closer than yours with her. Mu Yasi could also tell that Lin Feng was targeting the middle-aged woman. This made her extremely puzzled, as she did not know why Lin Feng was doing this. Mu Yasi asked, what did you see? Lin Feng said, actually, I don't know who this woman is, and I don't know if she has any ill intentions towards us, but I still don't want you to come into contact with her because I saw something unusual in her eyes. Oh? What do you mean? Mu Yasi asked in confusion. Lin Feng said, it's said that the eyes are the window to the soul. Look at my eyes. Aren't they very clean? This shows that I'm an incomparably pure person. Mu Yasi spat softly after hearing Lin Feng's words. You really have the nerve to say that you're a pure person. All you do is flirt with women. Of course, she did not say these words out loud in the end. Lin Feng continued, but look at the middle-aged woman in front of you. Her eyes are cloudy, and this kind of cloudiness gives people a very uncomfortable feeling. Old people's eyes are cloudy because they are about to die. Young man, middle-aged man's eyes are cloudy. As far as I know, there are several reasons for this. First, they harbor evil intentions. Second, indulge too much. Third, he might have suffered from an eye disease. I excluded the third point. Why did I exclude the third point? It's completely an intuition. I have a feeling that this woman's heart isn't in the right place, and she's the type of woman who indulges too much. This, Mu Yasi did not know what to say. She originally wanted to ask Lin Feng why he ruled out the third point, but since Lin Feng said that it was his intuition, the answer would probably be the same even if she asked. In fact, Mu Yasi had long noticed the middle-aged woman's turbid eyes. That gaze made her feel a little uncomfortable, but she did not think too much about it. From the looks of it now, things might not be as simple as they had imagined. Those turbid eyes were actually filled with secrets. Brat, do you think that you can judge what kind of person I am with just your conjecture? How laughable. The middle-aged woman looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng shrugged. You know that my friends believe you, don't you? The middle-aged woman's eyes were extremely gloomy, and she let out a sinister laugh. Her laughter was so unpleasant that it sounded like the laughter of a malicious spirit. The middle-aged woman said, what a meticulous brat. That's right. You've guessed correctly. You're not from my fairy palace? Asked Mu Yasi with an ugly expression. She was naturally furious after being deceived. The middle-aged woman replied, of course I am. Following that, an extremely sinister expression appeared on her face. Although I'm from your fairy palace, I hate it very much. Lin Feng said, it seems that you've been imprisoned here, but the destruction of your fairy palace has caused the seal here to loosen, giving you a chance to escape. However, you won't be able to escape with your own strength, so you want to borrow our hands to escape, right? The middle-aged woman looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, you've guessed wrong this time. Although I can't escape now, I'll be able to escape very soon. I don't need your help to escape. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Mu Yasi asked curiously, then, why did you trick us into coming here? Do you want to hear my story? Asked the middle-aged woman instead of answering. I'd like to hear the details. Asked Lin Feng. The middle-aged woman continued, I've been ugly since I was young. So many men would stay far away from me. Later on, I joined the fairy palace by chance. The fairy palace is filled with beautiful fairies, but I'm the only one who's unbearably ugly. I've seen many outstanding geniuses trying to woo the fairies of the fairy palace, but when they saw me, they avoided me like snakes and scorpions. I hate it. Why does everyone treat me like this? Is it just because I'm ugly? Mu Yasi replied, a cultivator's focus is on improving their cultivation, not on their appearance. The middle-aged woman said angrily, you're a natural beauty, So of course you can say such things. However, you shouldn't be saying such things to me. You're just standing there and talking. You can't understand how I feel. You can't understand how much I want to have a perfect face," said Lin Feng mockingly. "I think you're just unwilling to be left out and want to be the center of attention, right? Especially the center of attention for men," said the middle-aged woman. "That's right. I don't deny this. I like men, strong men, and beautiful men. Even in my dreams, I'm always in love with 100 men." Muyasi could not help but feel disgusted by the middle-aged woman's words. She was a pure woman, so she naturally could not bear to hear such things. Lin Feng said, "You're awesome," said the middle-aged woman. "However, I can't get those men, so I started looking for a powerful technique to pluck them dry. It doesn't matter if the men I fancy don't like me. If they don't like me, I'll use this technique to suck all their young energy dry." When Lin Feng heard that, he couldn't help but shiver. This woman is too disgusting. "You're a disciple of the fairy palace. How can you do such a thing?" said Muyasi with an ugly expression. The middle-aged woman's words had a huge impact on her, and she could not accept it at all. Chapter 55-84. The woman's actions were indeed hard to accept. Even though she was a promiscuous woman, she wouldn't do such things, right? However, she had done such things. The goddess palace represented holiness. At least, that was what the cultivators of the goddess palace thought. Therefore, when Mu Yasi heard what the woman had done, the impact on her heart was indescribable. Lin Feng said, "It's not your fault that you're ugly, but it's your fault for coming out and scaring people." The woman was born ugly, so she naturally hated it when people talked about her appearance. Now that she heard Lin Feng mocking her, she was instantly infuriated. She looked coldly at Lin Feng and licked her lips. If Mu Yasi were to do such a thing, she would definitely be incomparably charming. However, the woman's actions were so disgusting that Lin Feng almost vomited his dinner from last night. Be a human. At the end of the day, one still needed to have some dignity, right? The woman said, "Boy, you're so handsome and strong. One look and I can tell that you're not a silver spear. Later, I'll suck you dry. F*CKU. If you continue to disgust me, do you believe that I'll beat you up so badly that even your mother won't recognize you?" Lin Feng could not help but scold her angrily. This was really intolerable. It was too disgusting. Muyasi seemed to have lost all hope in this woman. She said, "You're a disgrace to the goddess palace." "A disgrace to the goddess palace?" The woman said disdainfully. "What goddess palace? It's just a group that gained fame by deceiving the world. Now that the goddess palace has been destroyed, the heavens have opened their eyes. Moreover, the heavens have treated me well. Later, I'll take your beautiful body, and from then on, I'll have a peerlessly beautiful face." As soon as she finished speaking, she leaped up and flew toward Lin Feng and Mu Yasi. "Die." Lin Feng's voice was cold. He held the epic war spear in his hand and used the epic spear technique to attack the woman. Mu Yasi took out a guqin. She sat down cross-legged. Her jade-like hands plucked the guqin. The sound of the zither rang out. The melodious sound of the zither was filled with endless killing intent. Streaks of terrifying cold light condensed. His speed was even faster than Lin Feng's. The terrifying cold light attack instantly slammed into the woman, but it did not cause her any harm at all. A star map appeared on her body. That star map. It was a diagram of meridians. Lin Feng was very surprised because this woman actually cultivated the meridian diagram. Lin Feng hadn't cultivated the meridian diagram yet. In fact, there were many ways to cultivate the meridian diagram. Different meridian diagrams. The power was also different. However, one had to consider carefully when cultivating the meridian diagram because the power of different meridian diagrams differed greatly. If one did not choose a good meridian diagram and casually cultivated it, it would be irresponsible to oneself. The reason for this was because cultivators only had one chance to choose the meridian diagram they wanted to cultivate. In other words, cultivators could only cultivate one type of meridian diagram. If he chose to cultivate the meridian network diagram, in the future, he would not be able to choose other meridian diagrams. The meridian network diagram that this woman cultivated was obviously an extremely extraordinary one. After neutralizing Mu Yasi's attack, the woman launched an attack on Lin Feng. She was still some distance away from Lin Feng. Therefore, she used a long-range attack. She slapped out with her palm and condensed a huge energy handprint in the air. That energy handprint instantly flew in front of Lin Feng and ruthlessly slammed toward him. Lin Feng swept the epic war spear at the energy handprint. Bang! Along with the violent collision, a loud sound was suddenly heard. Lin Feng was actually sent flying by the woman's attack. She then quickly charged toward Mu Yasi. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed abruptly. He really did not expect that woman to be so terrifying. It was too late to save Mu Yasi at this time. Soul-shifting technique. The woman flew in front of Mu Yasi and directly grabbed the top of her head. The technique she used was extremely terrifying and could destroy Mu Yasi's soul in an instant. Then, her soul quickly took over Mu Yasi's body. This kind of overbearing divine power was extremely evil, so it had been lost in the outside world. However, this woman knew how to use it. Lin Feng's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. At this moment, Mu Yasi's body suddenly exploded. She disappeared without a trace. Only a small golden puppet was left on the spot. Puppet technique. Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal a look of joy. This was an extremely brilliant puppet technique. After it was used, it displayed an extremely extraordinary ability. Swoosh! A light flashed. Mu Yasi appeared beside Lin Feng, her face very pale. Lin Feng hugged her. He then planted a kiss on her red lips. Seeing that Mu Yasi was still alive, Lin Feng was really too excited. Mu Yasi was stunned on the spot. When she came back to her senses, her pretty face had already turned red. Cough, cough. About that, I was too excited just now. Fairy, please don't blame me. Lin Feng said awkwardly. Mu Yasi snorted softly. Her beautiful eyes became watery. That look was really going to mesmerize people to death. The woman said coldly, "What a pair of lovers who only envy mandarin ducks and not immortals. How dare you flirt in front of me? You really deserve to be killed. You old woman, not only are you old, ugly, and black-hearted, but do you think you can kill us? You're simply daydreaming." Lin Feng sneered. "Killing you naturally won't be a problem," the woman said coldly. This woman was not so confident for no reason. She was indeed too powerful. With Lin Feng and Mu Yasi's methods, dealing with this woman was indeed too difficult. However, the key was that Lin Feng still had a backup plan. Lin Feng sneered and said, "It's too early for you to be happy. Today, I'll let you know how powerful your grandfather is." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng waved his hand. Suddenly, the Book of the Undead flew out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Next, one after another, the undead creatures flew out. There were a total of 56 undead creatures. Oh my God! How is this possible? Mu Yasi's face suddenly revealed a look of disbelief. Her cultivation was extraordinary, so she could naturally sense how terrifying those undead creatures were. Sage Realm. Those undead creatures. They were all sage undead creatures. A total of 56 undead creatures of the Saint Realm. What kind of terrifying power was this? And these undead creatures were all summoned by Lin Feng. How many unknown methods did Lin Feng have? Even Mu Yasi was extremely curious. Chapter 5585. Why do you have so many Sacred Realm undead subordinates? The woman's voice trembled slightly, although she was powerful. But, on Lin Feng's side, there were 56 saints. There was more than one saint of the seventh sky of the saint layer. This was too terrifying. The woman was naturally aware of her own limitations. Looking at the situation in front of her, she knew that her situation would be extremely bad. Because I am the Lord of the Underworld, I can summon these powerful undead at will for my use, Lin Feng said with a smile. Mu Yasi shook her head slightly. Lin Feng seemed to have started to become indecent again. In fact, Lin Feng's character was indeed like this. Sometimes he was very serious, and sometimes he was very indecent. Mu Yasi had long been used to it. There is no need for us to fight to the death, right? The woman said, "Hee hee, if I don't kill you, the anger in my heart will not be appeased." Lin Feng said with a cold smile. He waved his hand, and 56 Sacred Realm undead quickly attacked the woman. All kinds of terrifying attacks condensed, and it was as if they could destroy heaven and earth. They all bombarded the woman. The woman's face turned bitter. How could she resist so many Sacred Realm undead? She hurriedly took out a defensive magic treasure. It was a true dragon shield. She quickly activated the true dragon shield. The true dragon shield formed a powerful shield to protect the woman. Bang, bang, bang. The powerful attacks ruthlessly bombarded the shield. The defensive power of the shield was very strong. However, it was difficult to resist the attacks of so many powerful undead for a long time. Under the continuous attacks of those powerful undead, it was not very likely. Crack. A cracking sound could be heard. Looking carefully, only to find. It turned out that many cracks had appeared on those shields. It seemed that the shield would be destroyed soon. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed a smile. It seemed that the ugly middle-aged woman could not hold on much longer. Eliminating evil and defending the Tao is what cultivators of my generation should do. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. Why do I have such a sense of justice? In this world, it would be hard to find another person with such a sense of justice like him, right? Bang. There was a loud bang. The shield was completely shattered. All sorts of powerful divine abilities quickly blasted toward the woman. Without the protection of the shield, he could only endure the attacks head-on. She hurriedly condensed a powerful divine ability to resist the attacks of the 56 saint-level undead spirits. Bang! The attacks from both sides collided fiercely. The woman was immediately sent flying, vomiting blood in mid-air. Initially, Mu Yasi could not bear to see her like this, but when she thought of all the things the woman had done to tarnish the reputation of the fairy palace, she could not help but feel sorry for her. The trace of sympathy in his heart dissipated. As for Lin Feng, he didn't have much sympathy for the woman. As the saying goes, a pitiful person must have something to hate. This woman was not a good person and deserved to be killed. Just as Lin Feng was about to kill the woman, suddenly, the woman loudly begged for mercy. "I know some secrets, and I'm willing to exchange them for my life." Lin Feng sneered. "I'm not interested in your secrets, so you'd better die." At that moment, Mu Yasi said, "Sir, don't kill her. Are you feeling compassionate now?" Lin Feng looked at her and asked. Mu Yasi replied, "Perhaps I am, but I think that the situation outside is chaotic, and you need people. Why don't you subdue her? She'll be of great help to you, and when the war comes, she'll definitely be able to help you. She'll also be able to redeem herself." After hearing her words, Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. He thought about it carefully. Mu Yasi's words made sense. Lin Feng said, "In that case, I'll give her a chance on your account." Lin Feng then looked at the woman and said, "I originally wanted to kill you, but the fairy beside me pleaded for mercy on your behalf. If you swear allegiance to me now, I can give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. Otherwise, you won't be spared." After hearing Lin Feng's words, the woman did not dare to say anything else. It was already extremely difficult for her to survive this time. She hurriedly kowtowed to Lin Feng and said, "I'm willing to submit to you, sir." "Make the oath," Lin Feng said. The woman raised her right hand to the sky. She began to swear, "I, Lu Wan, hereby swear that I'm willing to be loyal to you, sir. If I dare to violate the oath I've made today, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death." After the woman made the oath, both sides immediately formed an oath rune. From then on, the woman had completely become Lin Feng's slave. After subduing such a powerful existence, Lin Feng was in an extremely good mood. Such a terrifying existence, what kind of astonishing battle prowess did he possess? With such a strong cultivator joining them, Lin Feng's side would be of great help. "Let's go," Lin Feng said. Luan said, "Please wait a moment, sir." "What? Is there something else?" Lin Feng asked. "That altar is extraordinary. It swallows earth fiend chi and suppresses me. After a long time, it's very likely that earth fiend pills have been formed. Earth fiend pills are condensed from dark energy. Ordinary people can't refine them, otherwise, they'll definitely suffer a backlash and die. But you're different, sir. If I'm not wrong, you must have many kinds of celestial flames. With the celestial flames protecting your body, you won't have to worry about the backlash from the Earth Fiend pills. Once you refine them, your cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Luwen said. Lin Feng was overjoyed when he heard that. If there really are Earth Fiend pills, I'll definitely remember your contribution. Then, Lin Feng quickly arrived in front of the altar. There were many restrictions on the altar. If he wanted to forcefully destroy the altar, he might suffer a backlash. However, Lin Feng didn't care at all. He activated the stone scripture. Buzz. Then, the stone scripture shot out a terrifying beam of light. The light beam shot out by the stone scripture directly bombarded the altar. Crack, crack. The altar began to crack. The stone scripture's power was becoming more and more tyrannical, and the beams of light were becoming more and more powerful. Dozens of beams of light continuously shone on the altar. Finally, the altar completely shattered, and a large amount of Earth Fiend Chi surged out. In the middle of the Earth Fiend Chi, a pill was floating. When he saw the pill, Lin Feng was overjoyed. That pill should be the Earth Fiend pill that Luwen had mentioned before. Chapter 5586. Lin Feng's large hand suddenly grabbed at the air. In an instant, the Earth Fiend pill quickly flew towards Lin Feng and was caught by Lin Feng. The Earth Fiend pill was a good thing. It just so happened that he could refine the Earth Fiend pill to increase his cultivation. Moreover, he had experienced many battles during this period of time, so he could already try to continue breaking through. After Lin Feng received the Earth Fiend pill, he did not continue to stay here. He left with Mu Yasi and Lu Wena. After arriving outside, Lu Wena was incomparably excited. Being able to see the light of day again made her feel as if she had been reborn. Lu Wena used her transformation technique and instantly turned from an ugly middle-aged woman into a charming and seductive young woman. Her every move was extremely charming. Lin Feng said with a dark face, "You better not have any more bad ideas, and don't think about plucking male cultivators." Lu Wena was a little depressed. She had transformed into such a charming appearance because she wanted to seduce some men and then pluck them. Previously, when she encountered some troublesome characters, Lu Wena had used this method to transform into a beautiful woman to seduce them. Then, when the other party relaxed, she would take them down in one fell swoop. Lu Wena was proficient in this kind of thing, and it was tried and tested. But now, her intentions were seen through by Lin Feng, and Lin Feng had already warned her. Although Lu Wena was depressed, she did not dare to disobey Lin Feng's orders and could only agree. Lin Feng and the other two did not continue to stay here. After leaving this place, Lin Feng found a secluded place to cultivate. He wanted to refine the Earth Fiend pill to increase his cultivation. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and began to refine the Earth Fiend pill. Right now, Lin Feng was at the first heaven of the Tao Immortal Realm. His soul was at the first heaven of the Great Sage Realm. His physical body was at the peak of the Great Sage Realm. After Lin Feng refined the Earth Fiend pill, Lin Feng's cultivation had risen to the third level of the Tao Immortal Realm. He had broken through 2 levels in one go, which made Lin Feng rather happy. Lin Feng's soul power had also made a breakthrough, from the first firmament of the Great Sage Realm to the second firmament of the Great Sage Realm. His physical body was much stronger than before, but he was unable to achieve a breakthrough. It was not an easy task to make a breakthrough in one's physical body. However, Lin Feng believed that with the accumulation of time, a breakthrough was only a matter of time. Therefore, there was no need to worry. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Feng, Mu Yasi, and Lu Wan went to investigate Di Wudao's whereabouts. Mu Yasi knew how terrifying Di Wudao was. Previously, when she heard that Lin Feng wanted to find Di Wudao for a life-and-death duel, she was extremely worried. She was afraid that Lin Feng would suffer a huge loss at Di Wudao's hands. But now, she wasn't worried at all. After all, Lin Feng had so many undead creatures as his subordinates. Even if he couldn't defeat Di Wudao, those undead creatures should be enough to kill Di Wudao, right? Of course, she couldn't rule out the possibility that Di Wudao had ways to restrain those undead creatures. Perhaps those undead creatures couldn't threaten Di Wudao. However, no matter the outcome, Mu Yasi believed that Lin Feng could at least protect himself. Not long after, Lin Feng and the others found out Di Wudao's whereabouts. It was said that Di Wudao had led a group of people to Dragon Soul Mountain. Dragon Soul Mountain was home to some Dragon Clan cultivators. By the time Lin Feng and the others arrived at Dragon Soul Mountain, it had already been destroyed. Hundreds of huge dragon corpses lay in the forest, dyeing the ground blood red. Then, Di Wudao and the others disappeared. Lin Feng went to investigate again, but he couldn't find any news about Di Wudao and the others. They were really good at hiding. No one knew where they were hiding. Many forces were in a state of panic. After waiting for a few days, there was news that Di Wudao was heading to Donghua Immortal Palace. Hence, Lin Feng and the others rushed to Donghua Immortal Palace. By the time they arrived at Donghua Immortal Palace, it had already been destroyed. Then, Di Wudao and the others disappeared once again. D***it. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel depressed. Di Wudao, that bastard, was really good at hiding. Mu Yasi said. It seems that Di Wudao did it on purpose. He wanted to make the other forces nervous. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and said, also, I feel that when Di Wudao spread the news, he must have already set off for the forces he mentioned. He didn't even give them a chance to call for reinforcements. They either submit or perish. There's no other choice.
Yes.
Mu Yasi nodded and said hatefully, Di Wudao is really evil. Even if we cut him into pieces, it won't be enough to vent our hatred. Lin Feng said, he's dead for sure. However, we need to know where he's going before we can stop him. But his whereabouts are really hidden. We have no way of knowing where he's going. Mu Yasi frowned. This was indeed a tricky problem, but Lin Feng thought of a solution. Perhaps he could use the Mirror of Now to try. The Mirror of Now had the ability to predict the past and future. Perhaps the Mirror of Now could really predict where Di Wudao was going. Lin Feng said, I have a treasure here. We can use it to try to deduce. As Lin Feng spoke, he took out the Mirror of Now and started to deduce. However, after a while, he didn't find anything. This made Lin Feng quite depressed. However, Lin Feng still had a solution. That was an ability that he could control. Lin Feng could also see the future. Lin Feng didn't want to use this ability. If he used something that was too heaven-defying, he would be punished by the heavens. However, there was no other way today. Lin Feng used this ability, but he still couldn't find out where Di Wudao was going. The main reason was that Di Wudao's fate was very strong. There was a layer of fate on him that concealed him from others. Therefore, it was very difficult to find Di Wudao's whereabouts. Lin Feng combined the Mirror of Now and his ability to foresee the future. At this time, some blurry images appeared on the surface of the Mirror of Present. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. He had actually managed to deduce some images. Lin Feng took a closer look. The image was of an ancient forest. In the depths of the forest, a mysterious wheel was spinning. Then, all the images disappeared. What's the meaning of this? Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a puzzled expression. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen also had puzzled looks on their faces. It was very difficult to find the truth through those images. At that moment, the Demon Lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Don't you feel that the wheel is very similar to the Wheel of Reincarnation? Chapter 5587. With the Demon Lord's reminder, Lin Feng realized that it was indeed the Wheel of Reincarnation. Of course, Lin Feng had never seen the real Wheel of Reincarnation before. When Lin Feng mentioned the Wheel of Reincarnation, he was referring to the Wheel of Reincarnation that he had summoned with a divine ability. Could it be? Lin Feng suddenly thought of a possibility. The Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Was Di Wudao going to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect? Lin Feng felt that it was possible. Let's go to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Lin Feng said. Mu Yasi asked, do you think Di Wudao will go to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. The three of them quickly set off for the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Lin Feng's relationship with the Reincarnation Immortal Sect was too deep. Back in the 9 states, Lin Feng had cultivated in the reincarnation immortal sect for many years. Even his master, Lord Turtle, had a deep relationship with the reincarnation immortal sect. Therefore, Lin Feng naturally did not want the reincarnation immortal sect to be destroyed. They were not too far away from the reincarnation immortal sect. If they traveled at full speed, they could reach the reincarnation immortal sect in 10 days. 10 days later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the reincarnation immortal sect's mountain gate. Lin Feng saw many disciples patrolling outside the reincarnation immortal sect's mountain gate. The three of them flew over, but they were stopped. "Who are you?" the leader of the disciples asked in a low voice. "Lin Feng, the Lord of Sin Realm, is here to pay respects to the sect leader of the reincarnation immortal sect," Lin Feng said. In fact, Lin Feng did not know who the sect leader of the reincarnation immortal sect was. Even Mu Yasi did not know. The sect leader of the reincarnation immortal sect had always been mysterious. Cultivators in the outside world did not know much about him. "You're the Lord of Sin Realm?" The pupils of the leading disciple suddenly shrank, and an extremely shocked expression appeared on his face. The rest of the cultivators were shocked as well. Lin Feng's identity was too extraordinary. This gave them a great shock. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Go and tell your sect master that I have something important to discuss with him." "All right, I'll have to trouble you to wait here for a while," the leading disciple said. Then, he quickly went to report. "I heard that the reincarnation immortal sect in the undying world used to be the first ancestral land of the reincarnation immortal sect. But later on, the experts of the reincarnation immortal sect moved it to the heaven world. So now, it's only the second ancestral land of the reincarnation immortal sect," said Mu Yasi at this time. Lin Feng nodded his head. He also understood this point. He guessed that the reincarnation immortal sect of the undying realm and the reincarnation immortal sect of the heaven realm should have some connections. "Not much." The disciple returned. The disciple looked deeply at Lin Feng and said, "Leader Lin, our sect leader invites you." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He then said, "Lead the way then." The disciple nodded his head and led the way. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen couldn't help but frown. How could the people of the reincarnation immortal sect be so arrogant? Even the higher-ups didn't come to welcome Lin Feng. They were really arrogant. Soon, Lin Feng and the other two were brought to a guest hall. A servant girl served tea for the three of them. Lin Feng sat down and didn't drink tea. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen didn't drink tea either. They were waiting for the sect master of the reincarnation immortal sect to arrive. Not long after, a hearty voice sounded, "Ha ha ha ha, Leader Lin, we're honored by your presence in the reincarnation immortal sect. You've brought light to our humble dwelling." Following the voice, a cultivator walked in. It was a middle-aged cultivator. He had a medium build and looked quite dignified. Lin Feng smiled and asked, "Your Excellency, what's your name?" "Sect Master of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Situ Ming." The middle-aged cultivator introduced himself. "So it's Sect Master Situ. Nice to meet you." Lin Feng cupped his fists in greeting. Situ Ming smiled and said, "There's no need to be so polite, Leader Lin. May I know why you've come to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect?" Lin Feng calmly said, "Di Wudao will attack the Reincarnation Immortal Sect in the future. He might be here soon." "Oh, there's such a thing?" Situ Ming's eyes flickered slightly. He then asked, "May I know how Leader Lin found out about this?" Lin Feng smiled. "It seems like you already know about it, Your Excellency," said Lin Feng. Situ Ming's eyelids twitched violently. He said, "May I know what you mean by this?" Lin Feng said, "Sect Master Situ, why are you playing dumb? Haven't you already sided with Di Wudao?" "What do you mean, Leader Lin?" Situ Ming narrowed his eyes. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen were shocked as well. They didn't know why Lin Feng would say such a thing. But they didn't think Lin Feng would speak without thinking. He had probably found some clues, which was why he had said that. Lin Feng said, "You don't have to deny my suspicions. From the moment I entered the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, I noticed that something was amiss. First, you looked down on me. Of course, it's possible that you underestimated me because you looked down on me. Second, after entering the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, I sensed the presence of the Grand Tao. This means that there are experts fighting here, and the presence of the Grand Tao hasn't dissipated yet. The battle will happen soon. Third, didn't you arrange for many experts to hide in the Great Formation around the sect? You thought I wouldn't notice them, but I noticed them before I even entered. Oh, based on these 3 points, I can deduce some conclusions. The Reincarnation Immortal Sect has been through a great battle, but Di Wudao hasn't come. There's only one possibility for this: internal strife. Why would there be internal strife at a time like this? I'm guessing that Di Wudao has given them a hint or a promise. That's why they attacked. The sect leader is in charge of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, so there's no need for him to do that. Therefore, the person who did this must be a traitor. There's no enmity between us, but you sent people to hide in the Great Formation. It's obvious that you want to kill me. Why do you want to kill me? I'm guessing that you want to capture me and hand me over to Di Wudao. If you hand me over to Di Wudao, you'll be rewarded greatly. Sect Master Situ, what do you think of what I've said? Or am I wrong? When they heard Lin Feng, Situ Ming was astonished. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen were astonished. Lin Feng was extremely intelligent. He had managed to deduce so many things in such a short time. Situ Ming's expression changed, but he smiled coldly and said, "Leader Lin, you're really strong. Not bad, you're right." As soon as he finished speaking, she waved his hand, and the entire hall was enveloped by the absolute kill formation. Situ Ming wanted to use a great formation to kill Lin Feng and the others. Happy New Year. Chapter 55-88. Ha 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 ha. Situ Ming, you're really an idiot. Lin Feng suddenly burst into laughter. I'm an idiot? I think you're the idiot. You're trapped here, yet you're still laughing. With your intelligence, I really can't understand how you became the master of Sin Realm. Situ Ming looked at Lin Feng mockingly. Lin Feng didn't continue to refute Situ Ming. Instead, he asked, "Where are the disciples of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect Master? What? Do you want to reminisce about the past with them? Those fellows are all locked up in prison. Once I capture you, I'll send you over to reunite with them." Situ Ming sneered. It had to be said that this guy had a sense of superiority. He looked as if he was certain that he could defeat Lin Feng. One couldn't help but feel a lot of disgust when looking at him. Lin Feng said, "If I'm not wrong, those people were captured because you plotted against them." Situ Ming didn't deny this and said, "During a Grand Elder's birthday celebration, I spiked their drinks with some good stuff. Their magic power was sealed, so they naturally couldn't resist." Despicable and shameless, Mu Yasi said coldly. Lu Wen was much calmer. Mu Yasi had too little experience in the world, and she was also relatively naive. She didn't know what those people would do for their own benefits. Many people would do anything for their own benefits. Fathers and sons would turn against each other, and brothers would kill each other. What's more, she'd only spiked their drinks. Situ Ming sneered. He simply scoffed at her, calling him despicable and shameless. "All right, it's time to end this." Situ Ming sneered. "Activate the formation." Then, he shouted coldly. The cultivators hidden in the formation began to activate it. They wanted to use it to deal with Lin Feng and the others. However, Lin Feng forcibly took control of the formation. This wasn't difficult for Lin Feng. Bang, bang, bang. After Lin Feng seized control of the Great Array, the tens of cultivators within the Great Array were sent flying. All of them spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were pale as they looked at Lin Feng in horror. The Great Array here was so terrifying, but Lin Feng instantly seized control of it. This made them feel that it was inconceivable. The group of people were all suppressed. There were more than 50 people in total. They were all kneeling on the ground, trying to struggle but to no avail. How is this possible? Situ Ming's face turned pale. What was happening at this moment was beyond his expectations. "Suppress." Lin Feng sneered. A terrifying attack landed on Situ Ming's body and sent him flying. Situ Ming spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. He was in a sorry state. He had also been suppressed. Lin Feng didn't kill these people, because these people were still useful. Wasn't Di Wudao about to arrive? Di Wudao had led an army here, and he had many experts under his command. Lin Feng had fewer people on his side, so it wouldn't be easy to kill Di Wudao. However, if he could restrain Di Wudao's army, it would be much easier to kill him. Lin Feng turned his attention to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. The Reincarnation Immortal Sect had countless formations. If he activated the formation here, he would definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to Di Wudao's army. I am the ruler of heaven and earth. Why aren't you all submitting to me? Lin Feng shouted coldly. He waved his hand, and a powerful force of purification surged into the bodies of Situ Ming and the others. Their expressions were pained. They were trying their best to resist being purified. However, they soon failed. The group was purified by Lin Feng. Lin Feng removed the formation.
Master.
Situ Ming and the others knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Feng. Mu Yasi and Lu Wen were astonished. Even though they knew that Lin Feng was an extraordinary cultivator, they were still astonished when they saw Lin Feng summon clouds and rain with a flip of his hand. Lin Feng looked at Situ Ming and said, "Get up and take me to the prison." "Yes, master, please come with me," said Situ Ming.
Master.
"All right." The hairdresser nodded. Then, Situ Ming got up and led the way. After a short time, Lin Feng followed Situ Ming to the prison. "Situ Ming, you bastard. You traitor. You're a traitor. You'll die a horrible death. Situ Ming, I curse you to go to purgatory after you die. You'll never be reincarnated." When Situ Ming arrived at the prison, many people started cursing him. Situ Ming's expression was unsightly, but he didn't dare lose his temper. Situ Ming brought Lin Feng to the depths of the prison. There was a huge prison in the depths of the prison. The prison was made of extremely high-quality materials. Once imprisoned, one's dermic powers would be sealed. They couldn't move. There were men and women in the prison. There were more than 30 people in total. They were probably the higher-ups of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Situ Ming opened the prison door. Lin Feng and the others walked in. "Situ Ming, you ingrate. How can you face your ancestors? You deserve to die 10,000 times. Situ Ming, the Reincarnation Immortal Sect has a traitor like you. You're a disgrace to the sect." Some people started cursing. However, some people didn't say anything. They just looked at Situ Ming coldly. Said Lin Feng, "Everybody, please don't be impatient. I have something to say." Everyone looked at Lin Feng and frowned. They didn't know who Lin Feng was. Lin Feng said, "I'm Lin Feng, the Lord of Sin City." "What? You're the Lord of Sin City?" Many people were shocked. They had heard of Lin Feng before. Lin Feng said, "I've already converted Situ Ming. I can let you all out now." The group of people couldn't help but be stunned. They were extremely excited. "Thank you for your kindness, Lord Lin." The higher-ups looked at Lin Feng gratefully. Lin Feng waved his hand. Immediately, people went to rescue the higher-ups of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Don't be so polite. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Di Wudao wants to destroy the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. His schemes won't succeed. Also, I have a deep relationship with the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. To be honest, we're still family." "Oh, we're a family. What do you mean by that?" a beautiful woman asked. She introduced herself, "Lord Lin. I'm Mushiwe. I'm the sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect." Chapter 5589. Lin Feng hadn't expected the sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect to be such a beautiful woman. This figure, this face, she was truly a top-grade beauty. No wonder the sect leader of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect had been so low-key. It was better for a beauty like her to keep a low profile. Of course, Lin Feng had seen too many beauties in his life. Mu Yasi was also a top-notch beauty. Therefore, Lin Feng wouldn't be attracted to her beauty. He didn't have any special feelings for her. He wouldn't lose his composure because of her. Lin Feng smiled. "When I was in the 9 provinces, I was a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect." "Sect leader, did you say that I was fated to meet the Reincarnation Immortal Sect?" "Oh, you're a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect?" Mu Shui immediately revealed a shocked expression. She naturally knew about the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, but she had lost contact with them. After all, they were too far away. How difficult was it to get in touch with them? Lin Feng smiled. I've been a member of the Reincarnation Immortal sect for many years. When I arrived in the Undying World, I wanted to visit the Reincarnation Immortal sect, but it was too far away, and I had many things to attend to, so I couldn't come. I divined that Di Wu Dao was going to attack the Reincarnation Immortal sect, so I hurried over. I didn't think that something would happen to the Reincarnation Immortal sect. Qiu Muxue nodded. If it weren't for you, the Reincarnation Immortal sect would have been finished. Can you let me deal with that traitor, Situ Ming? Master, please spare me. Situ Ming's face turned pale. He quickly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. If Lin Feng really handed him over to Qiu Muxue, he would die. Situ Ming wasn't stupid. Situ Ming was not stupid. He knew this very well, so he begged for mercy. Said Lin Feng, I understand, Patriarch, you're furious, but Di Wu Dao is about to arrive. Situ Ming will be of great help, so why don't we let him stay and let him make amends? Qiu Muxue was an intelligent person. She knew that Lin Feng's words made sense, so she nodded. He said, all right, then we'll do as you say. Lin Feng said, I plan to connect all the grand arrays of the Reincarnation Immortal sect together. These grand arrays are extremely powerful. When the time comes, we'll let Situ Ming lure Di Wu Dao and his army into the grand arrays. Then, it'll be much easier to deal with them. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Qiu Muxue couldn't help but nod her head. She also had this idea. Now that he had Lin Feng's help, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Said Qiu Muxue. The Reincarnation Celestial Sect has a great deployment spell, and it was created in the ancient times. Unfortunately, it was damaged. If it could be repaired, then even if Di Wu Dao brought 10 million soldiers with him, he would still be able to make them suffer great losses. Oh, what kind of formation is this? Why is it so powerful? Lin Feng asked in surprise. The Great Deployment Spell of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation is one of the most powerful deployment spells of the human clan. Back then, a holy ancestor of the Reincarnation Celestial Sect had a good relationship with the 8th Emperor of the Earth, so he asked the 8th Emperor of the Earth to help him create the Great Deployment Spell of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation. The Great Array of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation was damaged. The 8th Emperor of Earth was one of the leaders of the human race. He had made great contributions to the human race. Lin Feng hadn't thought that the 8th Emperor of Earth would set up a great array of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation. Lin Feng said, Sect Leader, please take me to see it. Perhaps I can repair it. Qiu Muxue's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. She nodded and said, Come with me, Territory Leader Lin. Qiu Muxue led the way, and Lin Feng and the others followed her to the great array of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation. The Reincarnation Immortal sect was made up of 72 mountains. The mountains were continuous. They crisscrossed. They stretched out for dozens of miles. The great array of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation was special. It took 6 main mountains to guard 6 directions. The Reincarnation Immortal sect was surrounded by it. Under Qiu Muxue's leadership, Lin Feng went to many places and carefully studied the damaged areas of the great array. Qiu Muxue asked, Look at the damaged state of the formation. Are you confident that you can repair it? Lin Feng smiled and replied, I can definitely repair the formation. Qiu Muxue was astonished. Over the years, the Reincarnation Celestial Sect had produced many extraordinary people, and the Reincarnation Celestial Sect had also recruited many extraordinary people. However, no one had ever been able to repair the formation. Lin Feng only glanced at it and dared to say that he could definitely repair the formation. Looks like Lin Feng is really confident. Lin Feng was so young, yet he had such extraordinary ability. It was really inconceivable. Lin Feng continued, Time waits for no one. I'll start repairing the formation now. I need an assistant. Is there any powerful formation master in the Reincarnation Immortal sect? Qiu Muxue said, I'm the #1 formation master in the Reincarnation Immortal sect. Can I be your assistant? Lin Feng glanced at Qiu Muxue's enchanting body and beautiful face. Having such a beautiful woman as his assistant was something he couldn't ask for more. Besides, if a man and a woman worked together, it wouldn't be too tiring. Qiu Muxue was such a beautiful woman, Lin Feng was extremely motivated. Qiu Muxue seemed to sense Lin Feng's burning gaze, and her heart started beating faster. However, she still maintained a calm expression. Then let's start immediately, Lin Feng said. All right. Qiu Muxue nodded. Someone arranged accommodations for Mu Yasi and Lu Wan. Lin Feng didn't need to worry about the two of them. Over the next few days, Lin Feng started repairing the formation. Lin Feng was in charge of most of the repairs. As for Qiu Muxue, she was in charge of minor repairs. With the two of them working together, they were naturally very fast. There were many things that Qiu Muxue didn't understand. She would always ask Lin Feng about it. Lin Feng also told her everything he knew. Qiu Muxue benefited greatly from Lin Feng. That made Qiu Muxue even more shocked. Lin Feng was so young, but his cultivation was so terrifying. It was already inconceivable. Lin Feng's attainments and formations were also so high. It was truly inconceivable. The two of them spent 5 days to repair the array. Repairing the deployment spell required a lot of energy. After repairing the deployment spell, Lin Feng went to rest. He slept for a whole day, and then he felt refreshed. When he woke up, it was already nighttime. Qiu Muxue came to visit Lin Feng. Qiu Muxue had changed into a different dress. Right now, she was wearing a purple dress. The long dress wrapped around her graceful and enchanting body. It was very eye-catching. If he could have a romantic relationship with such a beautiful woman like Qiu Muxue, it would definitely be a very good thing. Chapter 5590. Of course, he could only think about it for now, because a woman like Qiu Muxue wasn't a simple person. She had great power. She was experienced and knowledgeable. How could it be easy to conquer a woman like that? Lin Feng knew that very well. I didn't disturb your rest, did I? Asked Qiu Muxue. Lin Feng smiled. Of course not. After they sat down, Lin Feng smiled and asked, You must have been exhausted from setting up the formation. How was your rest? Qiu Muxue smiled and said, I had a good rest. Thank you for your concern, Region Leader Lin. I came here because I have something I want to give you. Oh? I wonder what it is. Lin Feng looked at Qiu Muxue curiously. Qiu Muxue took out a jade tube and said, Since you're a disciple of the Reincarnation Immortal sect, you're naturally qualified to cultivate the Reincarnation Immortal Sutra. This jade tube contains the cultivation method of the Reincarnation Immortal Sutra. I hope it'll be useful to you. Lin Feng's eyes lit up when he heard that. The Reincarnation Immortal Sutra was definitely one of the most terrifying sutras. It was probably one of the best sutras out of all the other sutras. It was unimaginable how much it could help a cultivator. Lin Feng hadn't thought that there would be such a pleasant surprise. Before, Lin Feng had been collecting the 3,000 Great Tao to cultivate. Now, he was focusing on the Immortal Sutra. The 3,000 Great Tao were the foundation, but the Immortal Sutra was even more special. If a fish wanted to become a dragon, it might need the Immortal Sutra. Although Lin Feng didn't know how to surpass the Saint Realm, Lin Feng had a very strong intuition. If he wanted to surpass the Saint Realm, it might have something to do with the Immortal Sutra. That was why Lin Feng was so interested in collecting Immortal Sutras. Lin Feng didn't stand on ceremony with Qiu Muxue. He put away the jade tube containing the Immortal Sutra and clasped his fists. Thank you, sect leader. Qiu Muxue smiled. There's no need to stand on ceremony. I won't disturb you any longer.
Take care, sect master.
Lin Feng stood up, personally seeing Qiu Muxue off. Lin Feng then returned to his residence to comprehend the Reincarnation Immortal Sutra. 7 days later, the scout came to report. He said that a large army was flying toward the Reincarnation Immortal sect. After receiving the news, Lin Feng knew. It must have been Di Wudao. Di Wudao led an army to conquer the undying world for the Heavenly Emperor. Rumor had it that this was the Celestial Emperor's final test for Di Wudao. Once this test was completed, Di Wudao would become the new Celestial Emperor. This matter actually caused a lot of discussion in private because many people believe that Di Wudao was the son of the Sky Emperor's first wife after she cheated on him. He wasn't the Sky Emperor's son at all. How many sons did the Sky Emperor have? Why did he value Di Wudao so much? On the contrary, His other sons were not as important as Di Wudao. This was something that no one could figure out. But no matter what the Sky Emperor thought, Di Wudao becoming the new Celestial Emperor was something that couldn't be stopped. Not all the forces wanted to fight to the death with Di Wudao. There were still many forces that chose to submit to him. Perhaps they would become cannon fodder for the heavenly court in the future. But they had to stay alive first. This time, Di Wudao led an army of 5 million cultivators. The composition of this cultivator army was rather complicated. Some of them were the elites of the heavenly court. Some were experts that Di Wudao had recruited. Some were from the outer realms. Some were from the outer realms. Some were from the epic lost races. There were even a dozen evil spirit warriors from the mastermind's world. These people had high hopes for Di Wudao, so they were loyal to Di Wudao. The army quickly arrived at the reincarnation immortal sect. Situ Ming personally led the higher-ups to welcome Di Wudao. In the middle of the army, 9 dragons pulled a divine chariot. This was Di Wudao's chariot. Servant Situ Ming greets master. Situ Ming knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of the chariot. The reincarnation immortal sect cultivators behind him also knelt on the ground and kowtowed. A voice came from within the chariot. Situ Ming, very good, very good. You're quite sensible. I didn't misjudge you. Being able to serve master is the accumulated merit of 18 generations of this servant's ancestors, Situ Ming hurriedly said. It had to be said that Situ Ming really knew how to flatter. A few words of flattery. Di Wudao was in a good mood. In reality, everyone liked to hear compliments. Di Wudao was no exception. Di Wudao asked, "Where are Qiu Muxue and the others?" "They're being held captive in the imperial prison." Situ Ming said, "Take me to them." Di Wudao walked out of the chariot. "Yes, master." Situ Ming hurriedly replied and led the way. Di Wudao followed behind Situ Ming, sneering inwardly. "Qiu Muxue, oh Qiu Muxue, you rejected my advances in the past, but now you've fallen into my hands. I'm curious to see how you'll treat me later." The corners of Di Wudao's mouth curled up in a cold smile. At that moment, Di Wudao's army entered the reincarnation immortal sect and rested in various places. There was no big battle this time. They easily took over the reincarnation immortal sect. Di Wudao's army was naturally in a good mood. But at that moment, something strange happened. Countless runes intertwined in the sky. They were densely packed together. Heaven and earth were sealed. The reincarnation immortal sect was sealed in an instant. As for the cultivator army stationed in various places, they were also separated by a powerful formation. When he saw that, Di Wudao's expression became unsightly. Situ Ming was very alert. He escaped into the formation and disappeared without a trace. "Who dares plot against me? You must be tired of living. Get out here." Di Wudao said coldly. He naturally didn't think that Situ Ming would dare do such a thing. After all, Situ Ming was just a nobody. "Di Wudao, it's time for you to die." A cold voice suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. After the voice finished speaking, a young cultivator flew out of the main mountain. That young cultivator was none other than Lin Feng. "It's you." When Di Wudao saw Lin Feng, he was very surprised. But then he burst into laughter. "What are you laughing at?" asked Lin Feng. "I'm laughing at your stupidity. You knew that you were going to die, but you still came to die." Di Wudao looked at Lin Feng mockingly. His eyes seemed to have everything under control. Chapter 5591. Lin Feng said, "Di Wudao, do you know what your greatest strength is?" "What is it?" Di Wudao asked in surprise. He did not know what Lin Feng meant. Lin Feng smiled. "Hee, your greatest strength is that you don't know your own limits." Mu Yasi and Qiu Muxue could not help but laugh. Lin Feng really dared to say that. Di Wudao said coldly, "I don't want to argue with you. You don't have the right to be my opponent. Your father is my opponent. I'll capture you and force your father to come out. Then, I'll trample your father under my feet in front of you." At this point, Di Wudao's lips curled into a sinister smile. Lin Feng said disdainfully, "You think you're worthy of being my father's opponent? You're making me laugh. Don't forget who you are. Back then, You were just a dog by my father's side. You don't know the difference between life and death. Di Wudao looked coldly at Lin Feng, then stepped toward Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "You guys activate the formation. I'll go kill Di Wudao." Before leaving, Lin Feng left the Book of the Dead behind. Di Wudao had brought 5 million soldiers with him, and there were many experts. He left the Book of the Dead behind. 56 undead were participating in this battle. 5 million soldiers. Not a single one of them could escape. Lin Feng was confident. Lin Feng soared into the sky and charged at Di Wudao. Die! Di Wudao shouted coldly and used the primordial chaos beginning skill. Di Wudao waved his hand, and an endless amount of primordial chaos light appeared. This was definitely an extremely terrifying divine ability. The power of this technique was so strong that it left others aghast. However, Lin Feng was still sneering. Di Wudao, didn't your celestial tribe say that you're high and mighty, then call us humans a lowly race? Perhaps the celestial tribe has forgotten that you're actually part of the human race. Today, I'll show you how terrifying the ultimate skill of the human race is. Lin Feng immediately used the 6 paths of reincarnation. As the strongest skill of the human race in this era, this skill had been unparalleled throughout the ages. It had shocked 100,000 starry worlds. After Lin Feng used the 6 paths of reincarnation, 6 mysterious portals appeared behind Lin Feng. The 6 paths of reincarnation seemed to lead to the 6 paths of reincarnation. The 6 paths of reincarnation was full of secrets to anyone. Even though the sages of the human race had created the 6 paths of reincarnation, but they were Wudao's reincarnation. When the 6 mysterious portals appeared, they seemed to have established a connection with the legendary 6 paths of reincarnation. Wudao's Wudao at the same time. An intense battle broke out below. Formations were activated. All sorts of killing formations attacked Di Wudao's army of 5 million. Countless cultivators died tragically. But there were too many experts in Di Wudao's army, such as the otherworldly beings, the lost races of the epoch, and the evil spirit warriors. They rushed into many formation cores and started a massacre, wanting to destroy the Great Formation. The battle didn't last long, and the mountains were littered with corpses. At the same time, Lin Feng's 6 paths of reincarnation clashed with Di Wudao's primordial chaos. Bang! The sound of a violent collision rang out. Di Wudao's skill was instantly destroyed by Lin Feng's. Di Wudao. He was sent flying. His face turned extremely pale. Di Wudao was now a Sage Immortal, the 4th level of the Golden Sage realm. Lin Feng was now a Dao Immortal. Lin Feng's cultivation level had originally been lower than Di Wudao's. It was naturally difficult for Di Wudao to defeat him, but it was different now. Lin Feng and Di Wudao were at most 2 major realms apart. Di Wudao was a peerless genius. He had accumulated a lot and cultivated many immortal sutras, 3,000 great das, and top-tier mystiques. Not only did Di Wudao have the bloodline of the heavenly human race, but he also had the top-tier bloodline of the demon race. Di Wudao, who was a dual bloodline cultivator, was naturally terrifying. But compared to Lin Feng, there was still a big gap. For example, Lin Feng's immortal sutras were no less than Di Wudao's. Lin Feng had cultivated all 3,000 great daos, while Di Wudao had only cultivated 2,700. Lin Feng could reach the perfected great Dao, but Di Wudao couldn't. Lin Feng's bloodline was even stronger than Di Wudao's. Undying bloodline, sovereign bloodline, destiny bloodline. There was also a bloodline that had yet to awaken. Of course, Di Wudao had his own advantages. For example, Di Wudao had cultivated the meridian diagram, although it hadn't been perfected. But since he had cultivated the meridian diagram, his strength was still terrifying. But overall, he still couldn't compare to Lin Feng. That was because Lin Feng had refined so many heavenly flames and 4 primordial spirits. Di Wudao, even if he wanted to defeat Lin Feng in a one-on-one fight, it would be extremely difficult. The most terrifying thing was that Lin Feng had mastered the 6 paths of reincarnation, a supreme technique of the human race. It was a mystique that could turn the world upside down. Once the 6 paths of reincarnation was used, who could compete with it? How could I possibly be defeated by you? Di Wudao's eyes turned bloodshot. His voice was extremely hoarse. He was furious and couldn't accept it. Hee, don't forget that you're just my father's dog, and I'm your master. Taking care of a dog is a piece of cake for me. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Di Wudao was furious. He said coldly, don't be so smug. I'll show you my peerless mystique. As soon as Di Wudao finished his sentence, a meridian diagram appeared on his body. Di Wudao's meridian diagram was connected to 32 points. There was only one last point left before they could be completely connected. This is a mystique diagram that only the masters of the 33 skies are qualified to cultivate. The 3 pure ones created this mystique diagram based on the 33 layers of heaven. Even though there's still one more thing I need to do to reach the maximum level of the diagram, it's enough to deal with you. After he said that, Di Wudao took out the mystique diagram. Di Wudao's clone flew towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He controlled the 6 paths of reincarnation to meet the attack. The 6 ancient doors and Di Wudao's mystique diagram collided violently. In a flash, the sky collapsed and the earth caved in. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Chapter 5592. Di Wudao's meridian diagram was indeed extraordinary. Its power was shocking. Even Lin Feng could not help but be shocked. However, Lin Feng was not an ordinary person either. Although he was shocked, Lin Feng had already expected this to happen. Under Lin Feng's control, the 6 paths of reincarnation continued to vibrate with horrifying waves. It gave off a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. The 6 ancient portals became even more mysterious. At the same time, the 6 doors started to change. The 6 doors turned into 6 black holes. Naturally, the 6 paths of reincarnation had many different forms. The different forms of the 6 paths of reincarnation had different powers. The 6 black holes that had turned into 6 black holes were much more powerful. Under Lin Feng's control, they charged towards Di Wudao once more. Di Wudao's expression darkened. He controlled the meridian diagram to attack Lin Feng. Bam! The 6 black holes collided with the meridian diagram, causing the void to split open again. The devastating space-time power swept out. Many cultivators were swept into the shattered space-time. Those cultivators were killed instantly in an extremely tragic manner. The scene before them was way too terrifying. Next, the 6 black holes attacked Di Wudao's meridian diagram one after another. Lin Feng wanted to destroy Di Wudao's meridian diagram. Under the continuous attacks of Lin Feng's 6 black holes, Di Wudao's meridian diagram was severely damaged. Di Wudao's meridian diagram started to crack as though it could not hold on any longer. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. This was a great opportunity to destroy Di Wudao's meridian diagram. Di Wudao's expression turned grim. He naturally knew that if his meridian diagram was destroyed by Lin Feng, it would be extremely dangerous for him as well. Therefore, Di Wudao no longer held back and hurriedly displayed the second form of the meridian diagram. The second form of the meridian network diagram was actually like overlapping mountain peaks. Upon closer inspection, that mountain peak seemed to be formed by 32 overlapping mountains. Each mountain represented a heaven. The 32 mountains represented the 32 heavens. Bam, bam, bang. The mountain peaks formed by the meridian network diagram once again collided with the 6 black holes formed by Lin Feng. The two sides clashed dozens of times in a row. In the end, both sides were annihilated. What a powerful meridian diagram! It can actually block my 6 paths of reincarnation. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. As expected of a divine ability created by the 3 pure ones. Even if it wasn't as good as the 6 paths of reincarnation, it wouldn't be too far off. Lin Feng, the 6 paths of reincarnation is useless against me. What other moves do you have? Di Wudao's cold voice suddenly rang out. As the sound of his voice faded, he sped towards Lin Feng. At this moment, Di Wudao was incomparably arrogant. He didn't put Lin Feng in his eyes at all. This guy definitely thought that the 6 paths of reincarnation was Lin Feng's strongest attack. Celestial Emperor Fist. Di Wudao threw a punch at Lin Feng. 9 figures appeared behind Di Wudao. Every figure, even if they were just illusions, emitted a suffocating aura. The origins of those 9 figures were incomparably extraordinary, because they were the 9 celestial emperors. The celestial emperor fist was a supreme divine ability created by the first celestial emperor, but the other 8 celestial emperors had improved it. Therefore, one could imagine that the current celestial emperor fist was basically flawless. Its power was so great that it shocked both the past and present. After sensing the terrifying aura and pressure of the celestial emperor fist, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Lin Feng directly activated his Tao of Supremacy. Now that he had mastered his Tao of Supremacy, it was different from before. Before mastering his Tao of Supremacy, although it was still quite powerful, it couldn't be considered heaven-defying. But after mastering it, his Tao of Supremacy could suppress all other Das. Its power instantly increased. Supreme Reincarnation Fist. Lin Feng used the Supreme Cultivator's Tao to use the Supreme Cultivator's Reincarnation Punch. When this powerful divine ability was unleashed, Lin Feng's countless divine abilities and formations began to operate. The Tao of Supremacy. It ruled all Das. These grand spell formations strengthened the Tao of Paragons. Lin Feng's Supreme Reincarnation Fist had reached an unprecedented level of power. Bang! Lin Feng and Di Wu Dao's energies collided again. Lin Feng and Di Wu Dao collided. The sound of bones cracking could be heard. Di Wu Dao's divine ability was instantly broken by Lin Feng. Not only was his divine ability broken by Lin Feng, but his arm was also broken. As for Di Wu Dao himself, he was sent flying. Barf! In midair, he spat out mouthfuls of blood, and his face turned as pale as a sheet. Lin Feng's Tao of Supremacy was too violent. It directly injured Di Wu Dao. I don't believe this is real. Di Wu Dao went crazy, and his eyes turned blood red. Back then, he was like an ant in front of Lin Beitian. However, after so many years, Di Wu Dao felt that he had grown up, even if he was facing Lin Beitian. He shouldn't be at a disadvantage, right? As for Lin Feng, from the beginning, Di Wu Dao felt that it would be easy to deal with Lin Feng. The higher his expectations, the greater his disappointment. The huge difference almost made Di Wu Dao's heart collapse. Lin Feng sneered. Di Wu Dao, you're short-sighted and self-righteous. I'll send you to hell now. Lin Feng quickly attacked Di Wu Dao. I'll let you have a taste of my Dao. Di Wu Dao shouted coldly. He released his Dao. Di Wu Dao's Dao was transcendence. Di Wu Dao was extremely confident in himself, so when he molded his Dao into the Dao of transcendence. Transcendence meant transcending the sage realm. He wanted to become an immortal expert who could watch the end of an era. This Dao, it was indeed terrifying. It could suppress the heavens. There weren't many Daos that could compete with Di Wu Dao's Dao of transcendence. If Di Wu Dao continued to cultivate, he could really complete transcendence in the future. However, Lin Feng wouldn't give Di Wu Dao this chance. Lin Feng's Dao of Supremacy and Di Wu Dao's Dao of Transcendence collided fiercely. Supremacy. Disdain. Who could compete with him? The Dao of Transcendence couldn't compete with Lin Feng's Dao of Supremacy. Di Wu Dao's Dao of Transcendence was broken by Lin Feng's Dao of Supremacy. Lin Feng instantly rushed in front of Di Wu Dao. This is absolutely impossible. Di Wu Dao roared in horror, unable to believe it. His Dao of Transcendence was so powerful, but now that it had been broken, this was something that Di Wu Dao absolutely could not accept. However, what was done couldn't be undone. It couldn't be changed. Pooh! There was a tearing sound. Lin Feng used his palm as a knife and cut off Di Wu Dao's head. Blood gushed out. Di Wu Dao's headless corpse fell to the ground. Di Wu Dao is dead. Next is the final battle of the Undying World. Also, let's talk about the new book. The new book is the story of the 4 universes, the Kunlun universe. The ancestor of the sovereign realm is still very young and has a lot of scenes. Next is the previous life of the immeasurable Taoist, Yushang, who has a lot of scenes in the new book. Yushang is the first sage, Lin Feng is the 37th sage. The new book is now more than 300,000 words. It's very exciting. Chapter 55-93. When Lin Feng saw that Di Wu Dao was dead, He looked relieved. That guy was finally dead. All the grudges are finally resolved. Lin Feng put away Di Wudao's storage ring and took out Di Wudao's source. Then, he took out the heavenly fire. The heavenly fire wrapped around Di Wudao's body and burned fiercely. Not much later, Di Wudao's body turned into ashes. Dead. Di Wudao is dead. The cultivators of the reincarnation immortal sect shouted excitedly. Di Wudao's death was great news for them. While they were excited, everyone was shocked. Everyone was also incomparably shocked. What kind of terrifying existence was Di Wudao? He was actually killed just like that. Lin Feng, the master of the sinful realm, was too terrifying. His strength was unfathomable. Moreover, Lin Feng was still so young. No one could imagine what he could achieve in the future. The cultivator army that Di Wudao brought with him was in a complete mess. They really didn't expect Di Wudao to be killed. Di Wudao was so lucky. He was so strong, but he was still killed. What about them? Although they had the advantage in numbers, they were trapped in the array. Moreover, Di Wudao was killed. Their morale was low. They all wanted to break out of the array. But when they tried to break out, they realized how hopeless it was. So many people were like headless flies. The cultivators of the reincarnation immortal sect were in high spirits. In the end, the 5 million cultivator army was killed. Corpses were everywhere in the mountains of the reincarnation immortal sect. The thick smell of blood filled the air. There were many cultivators who were watching the show in the periphery. At this moment, their hearts were in turmoil. Di Wudao was dead. The 5 million cultivator army was annihilated. This battle was simply too shocking. If the results of this battle were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. I finally got my revenge. I finally got my revenge. Mu Yasi looked in the direction of the goddess palace and couldn't help but cry. Lin Feng came to Mu Yasi's side. Mu Yasi lay in Lin Feng's arms and cried bitterly. Lin Feng could understand her feelings. Now, he had gotten his revenge. His feelings must be complicated. The rest went to clean up the battlefield while Lin Feng comforted Mu Yasi. Now that Di Wudao had been killed, the heavenly court would definitely take action. Lin Feng was very clear on this point, and so was Qiumu Shui. The cultivators of the reincarnation immortal sect had to leave the sect as soon as possible. Otherwise, they would die. The Sin realm was naturally interested in accommodating the cultivators of the reincarnation immortal sect. Lin Feng and Qiumu Shui discussed this matter, and both sides quickly reached an agreement. Everyone quickly gathered and followed Lin Feng back to the Sin domain. The large army returning to Sin domain naturally attracted the attention of many forces, including the forces that had sided with Di Wudao. They were also paying attention to Lin Feng and the others. The journey was not peaceful. Lin Feng and the others were ambushed several times. There were heavy casualties. However, in the end, Lin Feng and the others successfully returned to Sin domain. After returning, about half of the people were lost. The rest were very glad to be able to come to Sin domain. They were safe for the time being. Now, the Undying Realm was still very turbulent. Battles were happening everywhere, and more forces were being destroyed. Many forces also realized that they had to unite to fight against the Heavenly Court. If they were still scattered everywhere, it would be impossible to fight against the Heavenly Court. At this time, many forces received Lin Feng's message. Then, a large number of forces rushed to Sin domain. As a large number of cultivators poured into Sin domain, there were more and more people in Sin domain, and their strength was rapidly increasing. Lin Feng had always wanted to unite the forces of the Undying Realm to deal with the Heavenly Emperor. Now, he had finally achieved this goal. For many cultivators of the Undying Realm, this was naturally a good thing, because only by gathering together would everyone have more confidence to fight against the Heavenly Court. Lin Feng decided to unite these forces and then organize the cultivators of these forces into different cultivator armies. Because if the cultivators of the same force were to join the same cultivator army, it would be easy for a lot of problems to arise. For example, if there was a mutiny, it would be very troublesome. Lin Feng had to be on guard against this. Lin Feng did not personally participate in this matter. He handed this matter to Du Zhu. Du Zhu was one of Lin Feng's most trusted people. Therefore, When this matter was handed over to Du Zhu, Lin Feng was very assured. In the end, all the forces were divided into 18 cultivator armies. Each army was composed of 3 million cultivators. Together, it was a cultivator army of 54 million. This was a very powerful force. Of course, the cultivators who could be incorporated into the cultivator army were all very powerful. As for the ordinary cultivators, they were not incorporated into the cultivator army. They were all cultivators in the reserve army. The reserve army was mainly responsible for defense, patrolling, transporting the injured, and so on. These people added up were 10 times more than the cultivator armies of the 18 cultivator armies. The day of the final battle was approaching. The air seemed to be filled with a solemn atmosphere. Everyone knew that this battle would determine the survival of countless forces in the undying realm. Therefore, the battle was imminent. Smoke filled the air. Many people's emotions also became incomparably nervous. Lin Feng naturally knew how important this battle was. Lin Feng was not too worried about the others. The person he was most worried about was the Sky Emperor. The Sky Emperor was simply too terrifying. Lin Feng knew that to deal with the Sky Emperor was much more difficult than dealing with Di Wudao. Originally, Lin Feng wanted to find the savages or the Red World Fairy to deal with their natural enemies. However, Lin Feng did not find their whereabouts. This made Lin Feng rather depressed. Since that was the case, he could only rely on himself to deal with the Sky Emperor. Although the Sky Emperor was powerful, he was not invincible. Lin Feng was not completely without a way to deal with the Sky Emperor. He thought of some strategies that might be used to deal with the Sky Emperor. However, before the final battle, Lin Feng decided to raise his cultivation level first. After all, Lin Feng was still in the Dao Immortal Realm. If he could raise his cultivation level to the Golden Immortal Realm before the final battle, that would be the best. If he could not raise his cultivation level to the Golden Immortal Realm, he would do his best to raise it by a few levels. Lin Feng planned to check Di Wudao's storage ring to see what was inside. Di Wudao was a person with great fortune. The number of things in his storage ring was definitely unimaginable. There must be many treasures or some top-notch inheritances. Therefore, Lin Feng was very interested in Di Wudao's storage ring. Chapter 5594. Lin Feng's Divine will enter Di Wudao's storage ring. Di Wudao's storage ring had its own mountains and rivers, vast and boundless, huge immortal meridians lying among them. Who knew how many immortal stones could be extracted from those immortal meridians? Besides, all kinds of immortal iron and immortal stones were piled up like mountains. Pills, heavenly treasures, dharma treasures, etc. There were simply countless of them, but none of these could attract Lin Feng's attention. Lin Feng needed things that could be of use to him. Soon, Lin Feng found 9 stone swords. Lin Feng's face instantly broke into a smile. The stone swords were too useful to him. Lin Feng had 5 stone swords. Including Di Wudao's stone sword, he had a total of 14 stone swords. He could try to save the Black Tortoise Ancestor. The Black Tortoise Ancestor was an extremely powerful help. Lin Feng continued to search for other good things. Soon, Lin Feng's face broke into a smile, because Lin Feng saw an ancient weapon. It was an ancient demon weapon. It was surrounded by endless demon light. Lin Feng took out the ancient demon weapon and instantly realized that it was a demon sword. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. Ancient weapons were too important to Lin Feng. Lin Feng hurriedly refined this ancient demon weapon. Now, Lin Feng had collected an ancient killing weapon, an ancient demon weapon, and an ancient demon weapon. Besides, Lin Feng's epic war spear was equivalent to an ancient weapon. The sky-splitting axe, Pango axe, was also equivalent to an ancient weapon. The Sunshot Divine Bow, Hoi Bow, and 10 Snake Sun Divine Arrows were also equivalent to an ancient weapon. Unfortunately, Lin Feng only found 2 Sunshot Divine Arrows. Therefore, the Sunshot Divine Bow and Sunshot Divine Arrows were not at the ancient weapon level. Lin Feng also had a broken ancient weapon, but it was a pity that it was not powerful. Only the ancient killing weapon, ancient demon weapon, ancient demon weapon, ancient demon weapon, epic war spear, and sky-splitting axe had reached the ancient weapon level. But that was enough. Lin Feng continued to search through the items in the storage rings. He actually found 2 parts of the heaven-shaking stone steel in Di Wudao's storage ring. They were exactly the 2 parts of his heaven-shaking stone steel. After filling in the gaps, the damaged heaven-shaking steel became complete. Lin Feng's heaven-shaking steel finally formed a yin-yang cycle in the true sense. This made Lin Feng very happy. Lin Feng originally wanted to find Di Wudao's many inheritances, such as the meridian network diagram created by the 3 pure ones. Lin Feng felt that he should be able to cultivate it. That kind of meridian diagram was really too powerful. However, it was a pity. Di Wudao had memorized all the most important inheritances in his mind. However, he hadn't left behind any records of those top-notch mystic abilities. This made Lin Feng feel very regretful. However, he had more or less expected such a situation. This was because Lin Feng's various top-level inheritances were all memorized in his mind. Lin Feng then found more than 10 pieces of Kunlun immortal crystals. This made Lin Feng extremely excited. It seemed that these were the Kunlun immortal crystals that Di Wudao hadn't refined after obtaining them. There were many other things. Lin Feng only gave them a cursory glance. He didn't look at them in detail. Lin Feng refined the Kunlun immortal crystals. Lin Feng's realm broke through from the 3rd firmament of the Dao immortal realm to the 7th firmament of the Dao immortal realm. Lin Feng's soul realm broke through from the 2nd firmament of the Great Sage realm to the 5th firmament of the Great Sage realm. Lin Feng's physical body broke through from the pinnacle of the Great Sage realm to the beginner of the Great Sage realm. After completing the breakthrough, Lin Feng went into seclusion for a period of time to stabilize his realm. Then, Lin Feng came out of seclusion. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, Du Zhu and the others came to report to Lin Feng about the recent situation in the Undying Realm. Lin Feng learned a lot about the Heavenly Court. For example, the Heavenly Court had basically pacified the Undying Realm. This was of course not a good thing for the Sin Realm. The pacification of the Undying Realm meant that the final battle was about to arrive. Of course, the Heavenly Court had suffered great losses after a series of battles. The Heavenly Court also needed a period of time to recuperate. And this period of time was also an opportunity for the Sin Realm to quickly increase their battle strength. Lin Feng let the Sin Realm's cultivator army practice the formation. The army condensed the formation to fight the enemy. It could greatly increase the battle strength of the cultivator army. Lin Feng left the Sin Realm the next day, after coming out of seclusion. Lin Feng went straight to the Sea God Realm. He planned to rescue the sacred beast Xuanwu that was suppressed there. 3 months later, Lin Feng came to the Sea God Realm. The current situation of the Sea World was completely different from the inland world. The Sea World was incomparably vast and boundless. Therefore, it was difficult for the Heavenly Court to truly conquer all the Sea Worlds. The Heavenly Court only conquered the inland areas. However, many of the remnant cultivators of the inland forces had fled to the sea. Therefore, there were now many cultivators in the Sea World. Many people still wanted to kill their way back to the inland and reclaim their homeland. Of course, they were still in a wait-and-see stage. These people knew that the Sin Realm and the Heavenly Court would fight. Perhaps they would attack the Heavenly Court during the war. Lin Feng didn't recruit these cultivators. Lin Feng felt that since these people knew that the Sin Realm and the Heavenly Court would fight to the death, they didn't join the Sin Realm. It seemed that they didn't want to be restrained. Perhaps there were other reasons. Even if he sent people to recruit them, there probably wouldn't be many who responded. If they could stab the Heavenly Court in the back during the war, that would be the greatest help to Lin Feng. Lin Feng came to the place where the sacred beast Xuanwu was suppressed. When he arrived, he saw a dense crowd of cultivators surrounding and attacking the sacred beast Xuanwu. Among these cultivators were the lost races of the epic, foreign cultivators, and evil spirit warriors from the Mastermind's world. There were also many experts from the Heavenly Court. These were all experts sent by the Heavenly Court. In addition, Lin Feng also saw a mirror. It was the mirror of the future. The mirror of the future had originally sided with Di Wudao. However, the mirror of the future was very smart. It had sensed danger ahead of time, so it had left Di Wudao ahead of time. Then it had joined the Celestial Emperor. Now the mirror of the future had appeared again, leading a group of people to attack the sacred beast Xuanwu. Maybe the future mirror had sensed that Lin Feng might come to save the holy tortoise, so it had led so many strong cultivators to attack the holy tortoise. Although the black tortoise sacred beast was very powerful, it was still sealed. Thick chains wrapped around the black tortoise's body. The black tortoise sacred beast was unable to unleash its full strength at the moment. Under the siege of so many experts, the sacred beast had suffered grave injuries. If it had been any longer, the sacred beast might have been killed by these experts. Fortunately, Lin Feng had rushed over in time. Chapter 5595. Lin Feng quickly entered the battlefield and laughed. Senior Black Tortoise Ancestor, I'm here. When Black Tortoise saw Lin Feng, it was very happy and said, You came just in time. If you hadn't come, I would have been killed by these guys. Lin Feng said, It's better to come at the right time than early. I'll kill these people first, then I'll save the ancestor. After saying that, Lin Feng directly summoned the Book of the Dead. 56 undead creatures flew out. 56 undead spirits exuded a terrifying aura and charged towards the cultivators who were besieging the sacred beast Xuanwu. When the Mirror of the Future saw Lin Feng, it was almost scared to death. It shouted, Not good. Lin Feng is here. Everyone run. The Mirror of the Future didn't dare to stop and immediately teleported away, but Lin Feng had already locked onto it. Lin Feng punched the Mirror of the Future, and the Mirror of the Future was blown away. The Mirror of the Future looked at Lin Feng in fear and said, Lin Feng, I have no enmity with you. Please let me go. Lin Feng sneered. No enmity? Didn't you join Di Wudao before? Di Wudao is my mortal enemy. Since you joined him, you're my enemy. I've decided to let my Mirror of the Present devour you. If the Mirror of the Present devours you, its strength will increase greatly. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the Mirror of the Future trembled in fear. Among the three mirrors, the Mirror of the Present was the strongest. Even though the Mirror of the Future had extraordinary means, it couldn't defeat the Mirror of the Present. It would be very difficult for it to devour the Mirror of the Present, but it would be very easy for the Mirror of the Present to devour it. Lin Feng summoned the Mirror of the Present, and the spirit of the mirror, Big Yellow, appeared. Big Yellow laughed loudly. Big Yellow looked at the Mirror of the Future and said, Mirror of the Future, you didn't expect us to meet here, did you? I was plotted against by you in the past, so it's time for us to resolve our enmity. After saying that, the Mirror of the Present flew towards the Mirror of the Future. The Mirror of the Present sent out beams of light, while the Mirror of the Future sent out beams of light. The two sides fought fiercely, and it was difficult to tell who had the upper hand. Lin Feng asked, Do you still need my help? The Mirror of the Present said, No need. I can deal with this guy myself. After hearing that, Lin Feng didn't help. Lin Feng believed that the Mirror of the Present wouldn't speak without thinking. Since it said that it could deal with the Mirror of the Future, Lin Feng didn't need to worry about it anymore. Lin Feng then looked at the main battlefield. Even though the otherworldly creatures, the remnant races of the epic, the evil spirits, and the cultivators of the heavenly court were very strong, they couldn't compare to Lin Feng's 56 undead creatures. There was still a big gap between them, so they were all killed. Not a single one of them managed to escape. Lin Feng sneered when he saw that. He didn't need to sympathize with them, they deserved to die. Lin Feng then took out the stone swords. Looks like you've killed Di Wudao. The Xuanwu sacred beast laughed when it saw Lin Feng summon 14 stone swords. Lin Feng nodded and said, Yes, I've killed Di Wudao. I now have his stone swords. There are 14 stone swords in total, just enough to help you escape. As soon as he said that, under Lin Feng's control, the 14 stone swords quickly flew towards the chains that bound the Xuanwu sacred beast. The 14 stone swords formed a special connection that greatly increased their power. The 14 stone swords continued to slash at the chains. Hundreds of attacks landed on the chains. Finally, the chains emitted cracking sounds. All the chains started cracking. Lin Feng continued using his stone sword to attack the chains. After a few hundred attacks, the chains finally broke apart. I'm free. I'm finally free. The Xuanwu sacred beast laughed loudly. Its body soared into the sky like a huge island. In the end, the Xuanwu sacred beast turned into a skinny old man. Lin Feng was overjoyed when he saw that the Xuanwu sacred beast had finally escaped. Lin Feng was also happy for the Xuanwu sacred beast. After being sealed for so long, the Xuanwu sacred beast had finally regained its freedom. It hadn't been easy. After the Xuanwu sacred beast escaped, it quickly flew towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng cupped his fists and smiled. Congratulations on escaping, ancestor. The Xuanwu sacred beast smiled and said, "It feels great to be free." Then, its expression turned serious and it said, "Since Di Wudao is dead, are we going to have a final battle with the heavenly court?" Lin Feng nodded. His expression was grave. After all, they were going to face the heavenly emperor directly this time. The heavenly emperor was a titled god. Moreover, the heavenly emperor had fused with the undying world. He had also devoured a lot of the undying world's world origins. There was also, the heavenly emperor was currently forging the 33-layered heavens, but no one knew if he had succeeded. Thus, the heavenly emperor's methods were unimaginably powerful. Dealing with the heavenly emperor was just too difficult. Lin Feng said, "I estimate that the battle will happen soon, but I can't say for sure. It depends on the heavenly emperor's situation." The Xuanwu sacred beast nodded. The battle between the mirror of the future and the mirror of the present had reached its final stage. The mirror of the future was clearly no match for the mirror of the present. It was suppressed by the mirror of the present. Lin Feng said, "Don't devour it immediately. I still have some questions for you." "All right." The mirror of the present replied, "No matter what you ask, I won't tell you unless you agree to let me live." Lin Feng sneered. "Do you think you're still qualified to negotiate with me?" The mirror of the future said, "Whether I'm qualified to negotiate with you or not depends on whether the information you want from me is important or not." Clearly, the mirror of the future wasn't afraid. My new book is called Devouring the Heavens. It's now over 300,000 words long. It's very interesting, and it's currently in the bookstore. Brothers, please bookmark it on QQ or the bookstore after you read it. Then, vote for it. Old Steamed Bun thanks everyone. M. Chapter 5596. Lin Feng sneered. Did the mirror of future really think that he had no way of dealing with it? What an arrogant fellow. Lin Feng said, "You think I don't have a way of dealing with you? You want to talk terms with me? How laughable." Lin Feng immediately activated the Tao of Destiny. Once the Tao of Destiny was activated, an endless stream of destiny energy was produced. Lin Feng sent all of that destiny energy into the mirror of future. Once the mirror of future was filled with destiny energy, the mirror of future could no longer control itself. The mirror of future was no longer able to control itself. It was completely under Lin Feng's control. This was because the mirror of future's destiny had been changed. It had no choice but to obey Lin Feng. In other words, the mirror of future was now Lin Feng's prisoner. What did Lin Feng want the mirror of future to do? Whatever the mirror of future wanted to do, it had no way of resisting Lin Feng. Lin Feng asked, "Do you know what's going on with the Celestial Emperor?" The mirror of future said, "The Celestial Emperor is currently trying his best to refine the 33-layered heavens. Furthermore, he's about to succeed." When Lin Feng heard the mirror of the future, he pulled a long face. Refining the 33 groups of celestial groups was extremely difficult. The Celestial Emperor had spent his entire life trying to refine the 33-layered heavens, but he had never succeeded. Now that the Celestial Emperor's cultivation had greatly increased, coupled with the impending calamity, it was possible that the Celestial Emperor could seize this opportunity to refine the 33-layered heavens. If the Celestial Emperor succeeded in refining the 33-layered heavens, it would be an extremely terrible thing for Lin Feng and the others. After all, if the Celestial Emperor succeeded in refining the 33-layered heavens, who knew what terrifying level his cultivation would reach? Previously, someone had said that the Celestial Emperor wanted to use the 33-layered heavens to transcend. However, Lin Feng felt that this would be a difficult task. Even if the Celestial Emperor could use the 33 heavens to transcend, Lin Feng felt that it was impossible for him to escape directly. He should spend some time to settle down. Only then could he truly step into the next level. After all, it was too difficult to transcend the Sage Realm. There were so many heaven's prides from ancient times. They were brilliant and their strength was earth-shattering. However, none of them were able to complete the transcendence. Thus, it wasn't easy for heavenly emperors to complete their transcendence. However, they couldn't do so in a short period of time. However, the celestial emperor's cultivation could also be at the level of the number one person below the transcendent realm. Therefore, if the celestial emperor really succeeded in refining the 33-layered heavens, it would be like a bolt from the blue. Lin Feng asked, "Do you think the celestial sovereign will be able to successfully refine the 33rd heaven?" It won't be easy to refine the 33-layered skies because the celestial emperor lacks something special. "Oh, what's missing?" Lin Feng asked. The mirror of the future said, "We lack a supreme treasure that can guard the 33-layered heavens. This supreme treasure is very special. Even ancient weapons can't do it. Now, Tiandi wants to find the main trunk of the Jinmu tree. He wants to use the main trunk of the Jinmu tree to guard the 33-layered heavens. If Tiandi finds the main trunk of the Jinmu tree, then Tiandi will be able to successfully refine the 33-layered heavens. If he can't find it, then he'll have to delay for a while." However, the celestial emperor's success in refining the 33-layered heavens is inevitable. No one can stop him. Even if it's delayed, it won't be delayed for too long. The mirror of future was obviously very confident in the celestial emperor. The celestial emperor was indeed an extremely powerful person. Lin Feng was afraid of such a person. Actually, there's no need to be so worried about this. I think it'll be extremely difficult for him to find the main trunk of the builder tree because it disappeared a long time ago. No one knows where it is. The celestial emperor might be able to find some clues, but even if he does, he won't be able to find the main trunk of the builder tree in a short time. Therefore, I think it's very likely that he won't be able to refine the 33-layered heavens in a short time. Moreover, I think that the lords of the 33 heavens will stop the celestial emperor from refining the 33-layered heavens. How can the lords of the 33 heavens allow someone to be on an equal footing with them, especially when the celestial emperor himself was supported by them? How can they allow their subordinates to be on an equal footing with them? After hearing this, Lin Feng felt that it was very reasonable. He nodded and said, "That's true. However, even if the celestial emperor can't refine the 33-layered heavens before the final battle, he's still an unimaginably terrifying existence. It's a pity that we don't have much time left. If I had enough time to recover to my peak, I would have been able to fight the celestial emperor to the death." Lin Feng said, "I have a way to deal with the celestial emperor, but the premise is that the celestial emperor can't refine the 33-layered heavens. If he succeeds, I'm afraid that my method won't be able to deal with him. We can only take one step at a time." The black tortoise nodded. Lin Feng didn't have any more questions to ask the mirror of the future. Lin Feng looked at the mirror of the present and said, "You can now devour the mirror of the future." Big Yellow, the spirit of the mirror of the present, immediately barked excitedly. He had a deep grudge with the mirror of the future. Now that he could devour the mirror of the future, he was naturally very excited. The mirror of the present flew over and swallowed the mirror of the future. Then, it began to refine the mirror of the future. It estimated that it would take some time to completely refine the mirror of the future, so Lin Feng sent the mirror of the present into the temporal space. Lin Feng said, "Senior, let's leave this place now." The black tortoise nodded. Lin Feng and the black tortoise didn't stay any longer. They quickly left this place. Then, they found an island. The main reason was that the black tortoise had just escaped and was heavily injured, so it needed time to heal. After 10 days of seclusion, the black tortoise came out. Its injuries had recovered a lot. Then, Lin Feng and the black tortoise set off again. Lin Feng thought of the giant white snake that was suppressed by the 8 heaven-shaking heroes and the celestial emperor. Lin Feng had promised the giant white snake that he would save it when its cultivation was strong enough. Now, Lin Feng planned to save the giant white snake. Chapter 5597. On the way, Lin Feng told the ancestor of the black tortoise about going to the mountain of White Snake to save the White Snake. If you want to save the White Snake, you need the blood of the Celestial Emperor or the Celestial Emperor's son. Do you have anything like that? Asked the ancestor of the black tortoise. Lin Feng said, I have Di Wudao's blood on me. The black tortoise said, the outside world has always been saying that Di Wudao is the son of the Heaven Emperor's first wife, and that he's not the Heaven Emperor's son at all. Since it's been spreading like wildfire, I have a feeling that it's not a baseless rumor. Di Wudao might really be the son of the Heaven Emperor's first wife, and he's not related to the Heaven Emperor by blood. If that rumor is true, then Di Wudao's blood won't be enough to save White Snake. Have you thought about this? Lin Feng said, Actually, I've thought about this before, but after thinking about it carefully, I feel that there's something fishy about it. The Heaven Emperor isn't a simple person. He's an ambitious and ruthless person. If Di Wudao is really the son of the Heaven Emperor's first wife, why would the Heaven Emperor tolerate such a thing? Moreover, the Heaven Emperor has always regarded Di Wudao with great importance. He has so many sons, and the other sons are all extremely talented. They're all very strong, but all of them combined aren't as important as Di Wudao. Why is that? I feel that the main reason is because Di Wudao is the Heaven Emperor's son. If he wasn't the Heaven Emperor's son, the Heaven Emperor wouldn't have regarded him so highly. Now, the Heaven Emperor even wants to pass the position of Heaven Emperor to Di Wudao. If Di Wudao isn't the Heaven Emperor's son, then it doesn't make sense. What do you think? The black tortoise fell into deep thought after hearing Lin Feng's words. He said, Now that you mention it, I feel that Di Wudao might really be the Heaven Emperor's son. However, we can't ignore the rumors. Could it be that the Heaven Emperor is afraid of the Heaven Lord? Is that why he values Di Wudao so much? Or maybe Tiandi and the leader of the celestial world have reached some kind of agreement, which is why Tiandi thinks so highly of Di Wudao. Lin Feng nodded. What the black tortoise said was possible, but Lin Feng was a person who trusted his own intuition. He felt that Di Wudao was the son of Sky King, so Lin Feng planned to go to the White Snake Ridge to see if he could rescue White Snake. Apart from rescuing White Snake, Lin Feng also wanted to visit Lan Ying and Lan Phoenix. He wanted to know how they were doing. Wangtian Village, which they belonged to, was a very ordinary group. Therefore, the Heaven Emperor's army probably wouldn't attack small groups like them. The Heaven Emperor's army's main targets were the stronger groups, those who could pose a threat to them. A small force like the Sky-Gazing Village would probably be ignored. Thinking about Lan Ying and Lan Phoenix, Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Back when Lin Feng had first arrived in the Undying World, he had met Lan Ying, Lan Phoenix, and the others. It had been many years since he last saw them. Lin Feng missed Lan Ying and Lan Phoenix a lot. He couldn't help but feel excited when he thought about seeing them again. 3 months later, Lin Feng and Ancestor Xuanwu arrived at the White Snake Ridge. It was shrouded in white mist and looked very mysterious. It had always been a forbidden area. Very few people dared to enter the White Snake Ridge. Even the top groups didn't dare to trespass. Wangtian Village wasn't far from the White Stone Ridge. Lin Feng saw the bonfire in the village from afar. Wangtian Village should be cooking. Lin Feng and the ancestor of the black tortoise flew towards Wangtian Village and landed outside. Lin Gongzi, it's Lin Gongzi. Some cultivators patrolling outside Wangtian Village shouted excitedly when they saw Lin Feng. They knew Lin Feng. Although Lin Feng had left for many years, they still remembered him. Now that Lin Feng had returned, they were very happy. Of course, they didn't connect the Lin Feng they knew with the Lord of the Sinful Realm. After all, when Lin Feng first arrived in the Undying World, he was only a great emperor. The Lord of the Sinful Realm was a terrifying existence. Even an expert like Di Wudao was killed by him. Therefore, in such a short time, no one believed that Lin Feng could raise his cultivation to such a terrifying level. Soon, Lan Ying received the news. Lan Ying, Lan Phoenix, and the others all came out of Wangtian Village. After seeing Lin Feng, Lan Ying couldn't help but look excited. Lin Feng had been away for a long time. Now that he was back, he was very happy to see his old friends. Lin Feng, Lan Ying, and Lan Phoenix were a little ambiguous. Therefore, Lin Feng was relieved to see them safe and sound. Lin Gongzi, we haven't seen each other for many years. You're even more handsome now. Lan Phoenix was a cheerful woman. She was a little seductive and charming. She didn't care when she spoke. Lan Ying couldn't say many things, but Lan Phoenix could. Sometimes, Lan Phoenix liked to tease people. For example, she liked to tease Lin Feng. As the great leader of Wangtian village, Lan Ying naturally had to maintain her image. She wasn't very good at expressing her feelings. Lin Feng smiled at Lan Phoenix and said, Lan Phoenix, we haven't seen each other for many years. You're even more beautiful now. Lan Phoenix smiled and said, our great leader has missed you a lot. You haven't come for so many years. If you don't come back, our great leader will marry someone else. When you come back, it'll be too late for regrets. Lan Ying's face darkened when she heard Lan Phoenix. She couldn't help but sigh. Lin Feng also noticed the change in Lan Ying's expression. He couldn't help but wonder if Lan Ying was in danger. Chapter 55-98. Lin Feng had guessed correctly. Lan Ying had indeed encountered a crisis that was difficult to resolve. However, she couldn't tell Lin Feng about it right now. Lan Ying looked at Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, let's talk inside. Lin Feng nodded. Even though he really wanted to ask Lan Ying about it, it wasn't the right time. Lin Feng followed Lan Ying into the Wangtian village. Wangtian village didn't seem to have changed much, but there were many new faces, such as children and young people. Those people were probably children who had been born recently. Wangtian village's population had increased by around 4,000 to 5,000 people. When they saw Lin Feng arrive, many people greeted him. Most of his old friends knew Lin Feng. Only the children who were born later didn't know Lin Feng. He could feel everyone's warmth and care, so Lin Feng liked Wangtian village a lot. Lin Feng followed Lan Ying into the living room, and they both sat down. Lan Ying asked, Lin Gongzi, who is this elder next to you? You haven't introduced him yet. Lin Feng replied, this is Ancestor Xuanwu. He's one of my elders. Lan Ying quickly stood up and bowed to Ancestor Xuanwu. Ancestor Xuanwu said, don't be so polite. We're family. When he said this, Ancestor Xuanwu looked at Lin Feng and Lan Ying with an ambiguous gaze. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile wryly. Ancestor Xuanwu probably thought that Lan Ying was his lover. Lan Ying could see the ambiguous look in Ancestor Xuanwu's eyes, and she couldn't help but blush. However, when she thought about the situation she was in, she couldn't help but sigh. She didn't dare to reveal her feelings because if she did, not only would Lin Feng be implicated, but the entire Wangtian village would be implicated as well. This was not what Lan Ying wanted to see. Lin Feng asked, Ying, did you encounter any problems? If you do, you have to tell me. I'll help you. Lan Ying was touched when she saw that Lin Feng cared about her so much. However, she did not plan to tell Feng about what had happened, so she said, I'm fine. Don't overthink it. Seeing that Lan Ying did not want to talk about it, Lin Feng nodded and did not ask any further. Even if he asked her, she wouldn't tell him anything. Lin Feng knew Lan Ying's personality. Once she decided on something, she wouldn't change her mind easily. Lan Ying asked, why are you here? Lin Feng replied, of course it's because I wanted to see my old friends. Lan Ying asked, how long do you plan to stay here? Lin Feng replied, I don't think I'll be staying here for too long. I think I'll be leaving in a few days. Lan Ying felt a little sad when she heard Lin Feng's words. If Lin Feng left this time, it would be their last farewell. Lan Ying said, you must be tired from your journey. I'll arrange for you to rest. We'll catch up after you've rested. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Lan Ying sent someone to bring Lin Feng and Xuanwu's ancestor to rest. Xuanwu's ancestor continued to recover in his room. Lin Feng lay on his bed, thinking about Lan Ying. At that moment, someone knocked on his door. A charming voice said, Lin Gongzi, have you rested? Lin Feng immediately knew who it was. It was Lan Phoenix. Lin Feng said, I haven't rested yet. Wait a moment, I'll open the door for you. He got up and opened the door. When he did, he saw Lan Phoenix standing outside. Lin Feng said, let's talk inside. Lan Phoenix entered Lin Feng's room. Lin Feng closed the door behind her. Lin Feng didn't mince his words. Phoenix, did something happen to Ying? She didn't tell me anything when I asked her. Lan Phoenix looked sad as she said, she missed you, so she came to see you. You asked her about the great master as soon as you saw her. How sad. Lin Feng hugged Lan Phoenix's waist and said, of course I missed you, but Ying seems to be in some trouble right now, so I wanted to help her. Lan Phoenix blushed as she was hugged by Lin Feng. Although she and Lin Feng had a bit of an ambiguous relationship before, nothing intimate had happened between them. This was the first time they had hugged each other. Lan Phoenix looked charming and seductive, but she was a very conservative woman. Even now, she hadn't had any emotional entanglements with any men. It wasn't until she had a bit of an ambiguous relationship with Lin Feng that Lan Phoenix had her first emotional entanglement with a man. Now that she was hugged by Lin Feng and listened to Lin Feng's sweet words, Lan Phoenix felt happy and shy. The Blue Phoenix said, actually, I already guessed that the Great Master wouldn't tell you about this. I'm here to tell you about it. Lin Feng asked, what is it? The Blue Phoenix said, it's like this. Recently, the Heavenly Court's army slaughtered all the top powers in the South Horizon region, the South Sea region, and the other regions. Then, the 8 regions merged into one region. The Celestial Emperor even sent a region lord here, and his name is Wu Tianxing. This person is very terrifying, and the Heavenly Emperor entrusted him with an important task. Some time ago, this person came to the Mountain of White Snake and observed the Mountain of White Snake. I don't know what his purpose is. Because our stronghold is next to the Mountain of White Snake, he came to our stronghold and took a fancy to our leader. He asked her if she wanted to be his concubine. Of course, she didn't want to be his concubine, so she rejected him. However, Wu Tianxing isn't a good person. He used the lives of all our people to threaten our leader. He gave the Great Master 10 days. After 10 days, if the Great Master agreed to be his concubine, he would let us go. If the Great Master didn't agree to be his concubine, then he would kill everyone in the village. Chapter 55-99. After hearing Blue Phoenix's words, Lin Feng's face became extremely ugly. He really wanted to slap this Wu Tianxing to death. This guy really had the guts of a leopard. He even dared to provoke the woman he fancied. He simply didn't want to live anymore. Lin Feng naturally didn't put Wu Tianxing in his eyes. Perhaps this person's cultivation was very powerful, but in Lin Feng's eyes, it was nothing. The current Lin Feng was simply too powerful. Other than the Heavenly Emperor, Lin Feng was basically invincible in the Undying Realm. Since this Wu Tianxing was courting death, Lin Feng didn't mind sending him to hell. In any case, this guy was also one of the Heavenly Emperor's people. He wasn't a good person. Even if he died, he deserved to die. Blue Phoenix said, young master, what do you think the First Lady should do? If the First Lady becomes Wu Tianxing's concubine, her fate will be very miserable. This kind of person doesn't have any humanity to speak of. I'm extremely worried about the First Lady now. Lin Feng said, you don't have to worry at all because I'm here. Don't worry, this Wu Tianxing definitely won't be able to do anything. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Blue Phoenix's eyes lit up slightly. However, thinking about how powerful Wu Tianxing was, Blue Phoenix became extremely worried. Blue Phoenix said, but that Wu Tianxing is really too powerful. Moreover, he has so many soldiers and horses under him. If he comes, we won't be able to contend against him at all. Lin Feng said with a smile, a mere Wu Tianxing is nothing. Soon, you'll know how powerful I am. Blue Phoenix looked at Lin Feng and said, I feel that the current you is not the same as before. Lin Feng said, how am I different? I'm still the same person. With that, Lin Feng lifted Lan Phoenix up and walked towards the bed. Lan Phoenix's face flushed red. She knew what Lin Feng wanted to do. She gently struggled and said, no, I'm not that kind of person. However, the struggle of the Blue Phoenix was futile. Even though it was still daytime, Lin Feng and Blue Phoenix had already finished their conversation. The Blue Phoenix snuggled into Lin Feng's arms. He fell into a deep sleep. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was still awake. He was playing with the Blue Phoenix. Lin Feng had always been a free and easy person. His life motto was to enjoy life when it was time to enjoy it. What did it mean to enjoy life? Women, good food, and a happy life. That was why Lin Feng did not think that he was a playboy. How could that be called a playboy? It should be called universal love. Having 3 wives and 4 concubines, and having a harem full of beautiful women was every man's dream. However, many people could not realize it and could only dream about it. However, Lin Feng had the ability to realize it, so why would he not? When Blue Phoenix woke up, she saw that Lin Feng was looking at her. Her face flushed red, and the two of them rubbed each other's ears for a while before getting out of bed. At night, Lan Yingying prepared a welcome banquet for Lin Feng. The Xuanwu ancestor was in seclusion to recover from his injuries, so he did not attend the banquet. Only Lin Feng attended the banquet. The banquet was very lively. Many people came and danced around the bonfire. Many people did not know about the danger that Lan Yingying was facing. That was why they were still able to dance and sing. If they knew how much pressure Lan Yingying was facing, they might not be able to enjoy themselves as much as they were now. Only the Blue Phoenix and a few other higher-ups knew that Lan Yingying was facing the most important decision in her life. They also knew that Lan Yingying had already made her choice. She would sacrifice herself to protect Sky-Gazing Village. They were angry and aggrieved, but they could not go against Wu Tianxing. Lan Yingying looked at Lin Feng and said, "Lin Gongzi, may I have a dance with you?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Of course." Lin Feng stood up and walked to the bonfire with Lan Yingying. They were dancing a very special dance. It was a dance unique to their race. Lin Feng had learned this dance from them before, so Lin Feng knew how to dance as well. He, Lan Yingying, and many others danced and sang together. At some point, Lan Yingying was lying in Lin Feng's arms. Her hands were tightly wrapped around Lin Feng's waist. Her beautiful face was pressed against Lin Feng's chest. Lin Feng called her name. Lan Yingying said, "Don't say anything, okay? I just want to quietly lie in your arms for a while." Lin Feng nodded and did not say anything. The two of them hugged each other. They only separated when the dance ended. After they separated, Lan Yingying quickly left. As she left, Lin Feng saw tears rolling down Lan Yingying's cheeks. It was obvious that Lan Yingying was in a lot of pain. After all, she would soon become Wu Tianxing's concubine. However, Lan Yingying's heart was filled with Lin Feng. If Lin Feng had not appeared, Lan Yingying might not have been in so much pain. However, Lin Feng had appeared. After seeing Lin Feng again, Lan Yingying realized that her feelings for Lin Feng were very deep. Her feelings for him were like a river that had burst out of a dam. She could not control her feelings. Now that they were facing a crisis, Lan Yingying could not express her feelings. She could only shoulder everything by herself. It was very difficult for her. Lan Yingying and Lin Feng hugged each other. It was the final decision between Lan Yingying and Lin Feng. From then on, they would have nothing to do with each other. "Go after her," Lan Yingying said. Lin Feng nodded and quickly chased after Lan Yingying. Lan Yingying returned to her room. When she saw Lin Feng coming after her, she quickly closed the door. Lin Feng knocked on Lan Yingying's door and said, "Yingying, open the door. I have something to say to you." Lan Yingying leaned against the door and said, "Lin Gongzi, I'm a little tired now. I want to rest early. If you have something to say, let's talk tomorrow." Lan Yingying was obviously avoiding Lin Feng. That was why she did not want to see Lin Feng. Moreover, she was in a mess right now. It was not the time to talk to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's voice did not come from outside. Lan Yingying thought that Lin Feng had left. When she saw Lin Feng leave so easily, Lan Yingying felt wronged for no reason. Women were like this. They were fickle. Her tears flowed out again. Lan Yingying sighed. She lifted her head and was about to go to bed. However, she saw Lin Feng sitting on a stool in the room. He was looking at her with a smile. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.